Chapter 854. Dahe flew to the edge of the water, looked at himself in the mirror, and felt very satisfied. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Why did you transform into my elder brother?" Dahe sighed and said, "When the old master passed away, my intelligence was too low to remember his appearance, but I still have some impression of the eldest young master's appearance. Your appearance is more like the eldest young master's. When I see you often, I can think of the eldest young master's appearance. It's not convenient to look like you, so I transformed into the eldest young master's appearance to commemorate him." Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "You swallowed so many heavenly tribulations. Will there be any problem?" "Don't worry, second young master. Since my cultivation was promoted to the third stage, a small space appeared in my stomach. With the improvement of my cultivation, this space is getting bigger and stronger. The things swallowed into this space will be quickly refined and integrated into the body to improve my cultivation. After reaching the fourth step, this space of mine is already very stable, and I can even divide space into many separate parts. You can hide the things you swallow, refine them, or save them before spitting them out." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. Wasn't this giving others a taste of their own medicine? In a fight, it was equivalent to the opponent consuming twice as much energy, and he only consumed the power of his divine sense to perform small magical skills. According to his previous performance of swallowing heavenly tribulations, he could swallow the attacks of the early stage of the gold core realm without being injured. He could also swallow the attacks of the middle stage of the gold core realm. Now that he had absorbed a lot of gifts from heaven and earth, he should be stronger. In ancient times, the heavenly dog could swallow the sun and the moon. The sun was transformed by the golden crow, and the strength of the golden crow was only slightly weaker than that of the 5 elements divine beasts. Since the heavenly dog could swallow it, its strength should also be at the same level. Therefore, the upper limit of Dahe's growth was still extremely high. Unfortunately, there was no special spiritual qi in Beiyuan Xiuxian now, so it would be very difficult for him to break through to a higher realm in the future. Wang Daoyuan still had a lot of blood essence and demon cores of ancient strange beasts left, which could help him break through to the 5th stage. As for higher cultivation, he could only go to the end of the West Sea in the future. Wang Daoyuan asked again, "You are so talented. Do you still remember who your parents are?" Dahe shook its head and said, "The only thing I can vaguely remember is that I almost starved to death when I was young and was taken in by my master. Master lost his father when he was young and was all alone. He grew up eating from hundreds of families, but he was still willing to support me. After I grew up, I helped my master hunt, and my life got a little better. Master is also married, and there are you 3 brothers." After living in Qingxi village for more than 100 years, he really wanted to go back and take a look. "With your strength, you don't need me to guard you. I'll go to Jade Spring Peak first and take a look at Master's grave." He would return to Qingxi village and take a look at the old house. "I still need to go to Fallen Dragon Ridge to see my descendants." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Since you've already transformed, you should have a name. Spirit beasts follow their master's surname. I see that your mouth is quite long in your original form. The long-billed dog's surname is Hua, so I'll call you Wang Hua. Don't tell anyone about the space." She then transmitted a message to him. Dahe said with a smile, "Thank you, second young master. Wang Ku will leave now." After that, he rode a cloud to the southwest. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to return to Jade Spring Peak after Wang Hua transcended the tribulation. Now that Yun Yi and the others had fallen into a deep sleep, it was only a matter of time before they broke through. Yun Yi and the dragonfish both liked Yin Qi and water, so it was very suitable for them to break through near the source of the Nether King River. Wang Daoyuan opened up a cave abode on a nameless hill north of Mount Serene. He set up an array to isolate himself from detection and temporarily lived here. After breaking through to the late stage of yuanying, cultivation did not have much effect. There was a large area of land in the Yen Kingdom, and many people were needed to manage it. The Wang family could not provide too many people at all, so the demand for puppets was even greater. Wang Daoyuan had the puppet technique, but he had not spent much effort refining it before. Now it was time to spend some effort to improve the level of refining puppets. He was refining the puppets in this new cave abode. Previously, on the Demon Islands, after his cultivation broke through to the middle stage of yuanying, he refined a puppet that harvested spirit grains there. That puppet was only a low-grade Tier 1 puppet, which was too simple. Wang Daoyuan planned to refine a low-grade Tier 2 puppet that could cast the Sweet Rain spell. The Sweet Rain spell was an extremely important spell to maintain the spirit fields. There was a lot of spiritual power in the rain that fell. This spiritual power could be integrated into the spirit fields to prevent them from degenerating. Where there was a spirit spring, it could be watered with spirit spring water, and the effect was better than the Sweet Rain spell. Take the Jade Spring Peak for example, many Tier 4 spirit fields had been developed. However, the family had such a large territory, and not every place had a spirit spring and river. Most of the spirit veins still relied on spells like the Sweet Rain spell to maintain the grade of the spirit fields. A puppet that only cast one spell was not difficult to refine. He only needed to teach the puppet's soul to determine which spirit fields needed the Sweet Rain spell and the method to cast it. A Tier 2 puppet was not difficult for a Tier 5 blacksmith. It only took him a day to refine it. He only used 2 days to nurture the puppet's soul. Wang Daoyuan installed a low-grade Tier 4 spirit gathering bead on the puppet and put it on South Serene Mountain. At this time, the descendants of the Ling plant farmers in the clan were watering the Ling fields. The puppet inspected the surroundings of the Ling fields and found a Ling field that was slightly further away from South Serene Mountain, and started to cast the Sweet Rain spell. It was still unfamiliar with it, and its casting speed was rather slow. It used a dozen breaths to cast the Sweet Rain spell. Suddenly, a dark cloud 20 zhang in diameter appeared in the sky. Dense spirit energy rain fell from the cloud and poured onto the Ling fields. This Ling field did not have enough Ling power to begin with, but after the Sweet Rain spell, the Ling power in the soil increased greatly. There was a special soul inside the puppet, and it could become skilled through practice. It was fine as long as it could cast it successfully. After practicing for a while, it would become proficient. The Ling plant farmers that were watering the Ling fields had excited expressions when they saw this. One of the late-stage Foundation Establishment Realm Ling plant farmers said excitedly, "The most exhausting thing for a Ling plant farmer is to take care of the Ling fields. Now that we have this, the most troublesome matter is saved. Before, I could take care of 30 mu of Tier 2 Ling fields. Now, it is not a problem to take care of 300 mu." Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Zhao Liang for him to bring some of the talented forgers and formation masters of the clan. It would be best if they had experience in making flying boats. Since the puppet was a combination of forgery and formation, and some nomological inscriptions, it was similar to making flying boats. He also told him to bring the 12th uncle's dragonfish. That blue dragonfish had been stuck at the peak of Tier 3 for a long time. It definitely had enough accumulation, but it just lacked an opportunity to break through. Yao beasts with high-level bloodlines needed to further awaken their bloodline to break through a major realm. This depended on luck. Without luck, they could only rely on accumulation over time. They were not like humans, who could break through once they had enough comprehension in their realm. This was a great advantage that humans had over Yao. Talented humans could break through major realms much faster than Shin beasts. That dragonfish was not very willing, so Wang Daoyuan controlled the gray rock avatar to grab it out of the jade dragon spring. Then the gray rock carried Zhao Liang and the others to South Serene Mountain. Wang Shouzhe and the other formation masters also came to Wang Daoyuan's dwelling to learn puppet arts. Wang Daoyuan took out the first puppet, the one that he had made in the 10,000 Mo islands to harvest Ling grains. He took it apart into a pile of components, and explained the components bit by bit. If there were areas of confusion, Wang Daoyuan would explain in detail. These formation masters and forgers were all heavily nurtured by the clan, and they all had experience in making flying boats. Formation patterns and tool patterns could not stump them. Only the nomological inscriptions could stump them. Wang Daoyuan couldn't understand this either, so he could only let them imitate it. Chapter 855. These people were all disciples that the family had focused on nurturing, so their talent was naturally outstanding. With Wang Daoyuan's personal guidance, they quickly grasped the refining method of first-rank puppets. Half a month later, these people had all refined low-grade first-rank puppets under Wang Daoyuan's guidance. Their artifact refinement and array formation attainments were at least at the third rank. Under Wang Daoyuan's guidance, it only took them more than a month to refine second-rank puppets that could use the sweet rain technique. At this moment, Yun-Yi, the dragonfish, and the queen bee in the spirit pearls space were all unstable. Although they had not woken up yet, it was only a matter of time. Wang Daoyuan flew out of the cave abode and placed the three of them by the Nether King River, keeping a distance of 25 kilometers between them. This was to prevent them from interfering with each other when they began to transcend the tribulation at the same time. At this moment, a sword light flew over from the southwest. The sword light landed in front of Wang Daoyuan. It was Wang Dezhao. He cupped his hands at Wang Daoyuan. Seventh uncle, I can already use my spirit power to imitate the law of fire and can transcend the tribulation. I heard that Yun-Yi and the others were going to transcend the tribulation here, so I wanted to come here and get some glory. Coincidentally, I'm also a refiner and want to learn how to refine puppets. Wang Daoyuan had always thought highly of Wang Dezhao. After all, he was ninth uncle's great-great-grandson and fourth brother Wang Daocheng's grandson. Furthermore, he was quite talented. Whether it was cultivation, alchemy, or refining, he was a good seedling. He was also quite intelligent and was a material that could hold his own. There were not many such disciples in the Wang family. It just so happens that Yun-Yi, the soul-chasing queen bee, and the dragonfish I raised are all about to break through. You can absorb more of the gifts of heaven and earth to strengthen your potential. As for the puppets, we'll talk about them after the tribulation. After waiting for a long time, Yun-Yi was the first to wake up. At this moment, the spirit power fluctuations on her body were already very strong, and she could break through at any time. Humans could control themselves and only break through when they wanted to. Demons were unable to control their own cultivation. Once they had accumulated enough, they would automatically break through. Now that he had accumulated enough spiritual energy and had absorbed many blessings from the world, the dark soul-devouring tiger's bloodline had reached the point where it could break through. Now, it could no longer suppress it. Wang Daoyuan gave it a bottle of healing pills and told it to take it when it was injured. Yun-Yi was usually lazy. It was really a little hard to believe that she could successfully transcend the tribulation. The spiritual energy in its body increased rapidly, and soon it reached the level of the fourth stage lower grade. Tribulation clouds began to appear in the sky, and the lightning tribulation soon descended. When the first bolt of lightning struck, Yun-Yi let out a furious roar and directly dispersed the lightning. A large amount of the power of the heavenly tribulation entered its body. The following heavenly tribulations had the same result. When the seventh heavenly tribulation fell, the spiritual energy in Yun-Yi's body fluctuated violently, and a huge white tiger phantom appeared. The white tiger's eyes were also pitch black and carried a dense yin qi and baleful aura. When the seventh heavenly tribulation descended, it was forcefully withstood by the white tiger phantom. The white tiger phantom only dimmed slightly. Yun-Yi injected spiritual energy into the phantom, and it recovered again. When the eighth heavenly tribulation descended, the white tiger phantom almost disappeared. Yun-Yi injected spiritual energy again, and the ninth heavenly tribulation descended. It directly shattered the white tiger phantom and hit Yun-Yi. This fellow's fat was really not for nothing. A heavenly tribulation actually only caused it to suffer some superficial injuries. Yun-Yi ate a healing pill and recovered from her injuries. A quarter of an hour later, a white tiger descended from the sky. Its eyes were pitch black. This shocking baleful aura made Wang Daoyuan feel a little apprehensive. Back then, when he formed his core, the spirit body tribulation and the five elements divine beasts all appeared. The white tiger divine beast alone was stronger than most cultivators' minor divine power tribulations. However, that white tiger did not have such a powerful baleful aura and deterrence. The soul-devouring dark tiger was indeed unparalleled in terms of aura and soul intimidation. Yun-Yi was naturally extremely terrified and trembled in fear. The soul-devouring dark tiger roared, and Yun-Yi almost fainted. It also opened its mouth and roared to intimidate the soul-devouring dark tiger. Unfortunately, the soul-devouring dark tiger did not move. Instead, it pounced on it. The two cloud patterns on Yun-Yi's shoulders turned into wings and flew into the sky to dodge. The soul-devouring dark tiger also flew into the sky to chase after it. However, Yun-Yi's wings were not for nothing. She was much faster than it. It could only continuously roar to intimidate Yun-Yi and take the opportunity to attack a few times. After 15 minutes, Yun-Yi was covered in wounds. She was pressed to the ground and bitten. Soon, she fainted. The soul-devouring dark tiger also gradually dissipated, turning into a rich power of the heavenly tribulation. With Yun-Yi's fat body, his defense was really not low. If not for the fat protecting her, she would have been torn apart alive by the soul-devouring dark tiger. The bloodline of a divine beast, White Tiger, had nothing to boast about in terms of attack other than roaring. On the contrary, this fat body had extremely strong defense. It was really a wonder. Although it was on the verge of death, it still had some vitality. Wang Daoyuan used the azure dragon pearl to heal it. After 15 minutes, golden raindrops fell from the sky. Yun-Yi's injuries recovered quickly. The murderous aura on her body also increased rapidly. The fat on her body became less and less. After 15 minutes, Yun-Yi woke up. There was not much fat on her body. She finally looked like a normal tiger. The Wang family members were very familiar with Yun-Yi. They hurriedly took food to exchange for the gift of heaven and earth. Yun-Yi very generously agreed to the exchange. At this moment, the arowana and the queen bee also woke up. Their spiritual power fluctuations quickly reached the low grade of the fourth stage. Two tribulation clouds, one big and one small, appeared in the sky at the same time. After the arowana woke up, it immediately jumped into the Nether King River. Its small divine ability was water control. It had a great advantage in the river. Soon, the heavenly tribulation descended from the clouds that were more than 25 kilometers in diameter. It controlled a large amount of river water and formed a black water prison similar to the black tortoise purgatory. The lightning tribulation was useless. On the queen bee's side, the tribulation cloud was much weaker. It was less than 15 kilometers in diameter. Its body emitted something like pollen. The pollen condensed into a shield and blocked the lightning tribulation. After 9 lightning tribulations, the arowana had the geographical advantage and was unharmed. The queen bee directly fainted. However, it did not have any special bloodline. After 9 lightning tribulations, it was fine. When the gift of heaven and earth descended, it would be fine no matter how serious its injuries were. Soon, its gift of heaven and earth descended. At the same time, the arawana's small divine ability tribulation also descended. However, this fellow was sneaky. It directly drilled into the source of the Nether King River, the depths of the Netherworld cave. It was thousands of feet deep, and there was a huge Yin vein. This arowana probably wanted to use the Yin Qi to resist the power of the heavenly tribulation. It could only be said that this arowana was too young and had not seen the world. Unless it hid in a place like the Netherworld mystic realm, it could temporarily avoid the attack of the heavenly tribulation. Soon, a pitch-black true dragon descended from the sky and drilled into the Netherworld cave. The nearby ground shook slightly. The water in the Nether King River also became unstable. Sometimes, there would be huge waves, and sometimes the river would flow backward. After a quarter of an hour, the commotion disappeared. Chapter 856. Under the nourishment of the gifts of heaven and earth, the arowana quickly woke up. At this time, its body had grown to more than 3 feet long, and its head was 3 feet long. It was no different from a true dragon, and its body had also become slender. It looked closer to a true dragon than the old ancestors' arowana, but it was covered in Yin energy and looked quite evil. 12th Uncle's arowana had absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth from Yun-Yi and the other 2 and had fallen into a deep sleep. It usually stayed at the Jade Dragon Spring and could only eat some Jade Dragon algae, but it had never lived such a good life. It would take a long time to digest so many gifts of heaven and earth. The arowana's gifts of heaven and earth soon ended, and Wang Dezhao also absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth from the 3 spirit beasts. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Dezhao, do you want to transcend the tribulation now?" Wang Dezhao cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, 7th uncle. I feel that my physical body still has room for improvement, so I want to improve a little more before transcending the tribulation." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. Wang Dezhao was less than 300 years old now, so he had plenty of time. The family did not lack a golden core cultivator now, so it was a good thing to strengthen the foundation. He nodded. Then work hard to improve. Don't worry about the puppet technique. I'll teach it to others first. It won't be too late for you to learn it after you break through. Yes, 7th uncle. I still have to go to the Green Willow secret realm for seclusion. Goodbye. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Take your 12th uncle's arowana back to the Jade Spring Peak. I'll ask the Grey Rock to send you back. The Grey Rock carried Wang Dezhao and the arowana to the southwest. After the arowana broke through to the 4th stage, it could not speak human language. After all, its cultivation time could not be compared to Yun-Yi and the others, and it ate very little demon soul grass. It sent a voice transmission to Wang Daoyuan. "Master, I want to transcend the tribulation." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. This guy used the power of the Mingshui River to withstand the 9 heavenly tribulations without being injured. When Big Black transformed, he had also seen the tribulation. It was not worth mentioning. With its divine power, it was naturally not a problem. The arowana jumped into the Mingshui River, and a small dark cloud appeared again. The 3 heavenly tribulations soon fell. The black dragon fish blocked the heavenly tribulations with the help of the river water. Soon, the scales on his body turned into a black fish-scaled robe, and he turned into a skinny young man who was 8 feet tall. His face was delicate and pretty, and there were 2 small dragon horns on his forehead. His eyes were darting around, and he didn't look like an honest fish. At this moment, the clone in the space was reading the 10,000 spirit catalog. Wang Daoyuan also wanted to see what kind of dragon this guy was. There were a few types of dragons that liked Yin Qi. Combined with the appearance of the black dragon that had appeared in the minor divine ability tribulation, it was clear that the black dragon was very powerful. Wang Daoyuan was sure that the black dragon fish should belong to the nether dragon bloodline, but it was hard to say which type it was. Legend had it that the nether dragon was the true dragon that guarded the water veins of the underworld. Its strength was considered relatively strong among the dragon clan. Naturally, it couldn't compare to the azure dragon, but it was much stronger than the profound dragon. His ability to control water could be said to be one of the best among the true dragons of the water dragon species. The young man that the black dragon fish had transformed into came in front of Wang Daoyuan and bowed deeply. "Greetings, Master." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Since you have transformed, I will give you a name. Wang Minglong." Hearing this, Yuni leaned over with his big furry head. "Master, what about me? Didn't I already name you Yuni? From now on, you will be called Wang Yunyi. Why don't you go through a transformation heavenly tribulation?" Yuni shook his big head. "No, after transforming, it will be difficult to cheat barbecue." Wang Daoyuan sighed. This fat cat was hopeless. He had become a 4th-level spirit beast, but he was still so useless. He gave him some inky jade lotus seeds, and this guy ran to the Nether King River to play in the water. Wang Minglong was even younger and had never been out of the space of the spiritual pearl. Everything was new to him, so he also ran to the river to play. Wang Daoyuan sent them a message and told them not to leak the information about the space. Then he returned to his cave residence and continued to make puppets. The other clansmen also followed him to the cave residence. Wang Shouja said, "Dao Yuan, teach us some more puppet-making methods." I checked some of the family's books, and they all say that the greatest use of puppets is fighting. We only know how to make some spirit plant farmer puppets, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of puppet making. How about you teach us some battle puppet-making methods? I think the sword cultivator puppet in Wanchuan market is very powerful. Wang Daoyuan sighed. I didn't make them. Up until now, I have only made 2 puppets, the 2 that I dismantled for you. Then he took out a thin beast skin book. This is the method to make puppets from 1st to 3rd level. All kinds of puppets are recorded. You can write it down. I don't need to tell you the importance of this inheritance. You must not leak it out. After you learn this inheritance, don't make them casually. The difficulty of making puppets isn't high. The biggest difficulty is the material of the puppet core. There are very few materials that can make a 5th level puppet core. That sword puppet used a 5th level soul crystal. The material I gave you is yellow spring willow wood. Coincidentally, I have some yellow spring willow seeds. Later, I will dig a hole in the north of Serene South Mountain and water it with a portion of the Nether King River to grow the yellow spring willow. Little uncle, you will set up a formation here to protect the yellow spring willow. To make low-level puppets, the need for puppet core materials is much smaller. The few materials that can nurture the soul can have some effect. For example, in the 9 Underworld Black Crystal Mine, you can sometimes dig out a very good or called 9 Underworld Black Jade. At best, it can be used to make a 3rd level puppet. You can discuss with the country of Zhao to buy some 9 Underworld Black Jade. He naturally didn't lack yellow spring willow. In the space of the Ling Bead, on the shore of the Gui Water Nether Spring, as well as the canal in the north, there were hundreds of yellow spring willows. To make this kind of low-level puppet core, he only needed a branch as thick as a little finger. Cutting 4 to 5 inches was enough. A yellow spring willow would only need 10 years to grow many branches like this. However, the matter of the Ling Bead space couldn't be leaked. Wang Shouja took the beast skin book and repeatedly said yes. Wang Daoyuan took out a few jade slips. This is the method to make a level 3 spirit gathering pearl. The spirit gathering pearl is a rather special magic tool. It can absorb spirit chi, convert it into spirit chi, and store it. Put the spirit gathering pearl on the puppet. In places with dense spirit chi, the puppet can keep working and save a lot of spirit stones. Zhao Liang, I'll leave this to the crafting hall. Make more of it. However, the method to make it must be kept a secret. Zhao Liang took the jade slips and cupped his hands. After sending everyone away, Wang Daoyuan continued to make puppets in the cave abode. He had been thinking about the mountain gate of the Mirage Fog Sea Valley of Beasts, but the risk was too high, so he hadn't made up his mind. If he could make a few more level 5 puppets, he could send them to explore. After staying in the cave abode for more than a month, Wang Daoyuan could already make level 3 upper-grade battle puppets. Of course, his combat methods were still relatively simple, and he could only use a few simple spells. Just as he was about to make a level 4 puppet, a big furry head stuck in from outside the cave abode. When Wang Daoyuan saw that it was Yun Yi, he asked, "What trouble did you cause this time? Come in and talk." Yun Yi walked into the cave abode, followed by a dejected Wang Minglong. "Master, I didn't cause trouble. It's Wang Minglong. The 2 of us went downstream along the Nether King River to play, but Wang Minglong insisted on going to the desert." Chapter 857. The Nether Dragon bloodline originally lived in the underworld and guarded the water veins of the underworld. A few of them would come to the human world through the connection between the underworld and the human world. All dragons were the same. They liked to wander around. Wang Daoyuan was quite clear about Wang Minglong's bloodline inheritance. He was the descendant of the 2 Qing River carps that he caught back then. The Qing River carps belonged to the Water Dragon bloodline. The Nether Dragon bloodline was also a branch of the Water Dragon bloodline. In terms of bloodline, they were very similar. It should be that the ancestors of the 2 Qing River carps had some Nether Dragon bloodline. In the space of the spiritual pearl, there was pure yin qi released by the Gui Water Hell Flame, which might have stimulated the Nether Dragon bloodline in his body. Most divine beasts had some inherited memories. As the descendant of the Nether Dragon, it was not strange for him to awaken some memories of the underworld. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Tell me in detail, what does the river in your memory look like? How do you get in? Wang Minglong replied, as long as you go down hundreds of miles along the spring in the secret realm, you will enter a place with extremely dense yin qi. The demonic beasts with similar bloodlines to me all live in a yellow river. There are blood-red flowers growing on both sides of the river bank. Those flowers have flowers but no leaves. There is also a huge willow tree on the bank, similar to the willow tree in your space. It's just that the willow tree's bark is yellow, while the willow tree in the space has black bark. There are often wandering souls passing by on the river bank, going upstream against the direction of the current. I don't know where they are going. There were also legends of the underworld in Beiyuan Shushin. It was roughly the same as the legends of the underworld in his previous life, but there were many differences. The thing in Wang Minglong's inherited memory was the underworld in Beiyuan legend. However, the underground lava of the northern abyss immortal world was only about 10,000 feet from the surface, and 10,000 feet was only a few dozen miles. The secret realm required one to go hundreds of miles underground. This should involve the law of space. It seemed that the legend of the underworld was true. Wang Daoyuan did not need to go to the underworld. Although breaking through to the semi-god realm required a 6th-level inattribute spiritual object, it was not impossible to find it in the human world. There was no need to take this risk. What are the cultivation levels of the demonic beasts with similar bloodlines in your memory? Wang Minglong said without hesitation, there is a huge difference in the strength of those demonic beasts. There are quite a few of them from the 3rd to the 5th order. There are also a few extremely powerful ones who are much stronger than you, Master. As for whether it's the 6th or 7th order, I'm not sure. Is there a true dragon with 4 claws and 5 fingers like the black dragon in your minor divine ability tribulation? Wang Minglong nodded. Yes, but not much. Wang Daoyuan knew that a true dragon was at least at the 7th stage, which was equivalent to a human Mahayana cultivator and had an infinite lifespan. Wang Daoyuan knew a little about the strength of a Mahayana cultivator. Aside from the records in the ancient books, he had also fought Grand Ascension cultivators in person. In the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he also saw many inheritances left behind by Mahayana seniors. Back then, in the illusion of Divine Venerable Fiend Seal's inheritance, there was only a strand of his divine will. A water ball condensed casually could completely suppress his full-strength attack and even deprive him of his control of spirit power. A true Mahayana cultivator could ignore the spatial cracks and directly tear through space to travel 1,000,000 miles in an instant. The Nether Dragon bloodline was also a type of dragon that was good at fighting. In a battle of the same level, only the most talented human cultivators could be on par with them. If it was the 5 elements divine beast level, only the rare geniuses of the human race could be on par with them. Hearing Wang Minglong's words, there was more than one Nether Dragon at the 7th stage. With his little ability, going down would be like delivering food to the Nether Dragon, and not even an appetizer. He advised, Nether Dragon, you must not enter the underworld. Legend has it that the underworld does not allow living things to enter and leave as they wish. Although you have the Nether Dragon bloodline and the Nether Dragon clan may protect you, there are not only Nether Dragons. However, the Netherworld didn't only have the Netherworld Dragon clan. There were other experts. The Nether Dragon clan may not violate the rules of the underworld for a dragonfish like you. If they can't protect you, you can only die without a burial place. If you really want to go back to the underworld to take a look, when I cultivate to the Mahayana realm, I can take you with me. Wang Minglong nodded. Master, don't worry, I won't go down casually. If you want to cause trouble, just do it nearby. Although the 5th stage demons don't dare to come over easily, there might be someone who doesn't abide by the rules. Both of your divine beast bloodlines are not ordinary, so don't let the demons have any evil intentions. Wang Minglong wanted to go out, but Yuni moved to Wang Daoyuan's side and rubbed her big head against Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan naturally knew what this meant. He took out a storage bag. Here are 1,000 inky jade lotus seeds and 500 stalks of demon soul grass. You too can share them. Yun-Yi held the storage bag in her mouth and turned to run. Wang Daoyuan sighed. This fat cat was really useless. After sighing, he continued to refine puppets. This time, he planned to refine sword cultivator puppets. Even if he changed to the 5th stage spirit gathering pearl, the puppets still couldn't squander spirit power. Therefore, most of the battle puppets were melee puppets. Large-scale spells like the Snow Frost Heaven technique were a one-time deal. They were powerful enough, but it was difficult to guarantee that they could completely destroy the opponent. Sword cultivators were different. They attacked quickly and had a strong ability to break through defenses. The area of effect might not be as powerful as large-scale spells like the Snow Frost Heaven technique, but their ability to fight experts alone was much stronger. The only problem was that the difficulty of refining was much higher. If a sword cultivator puppet wanted to unleash its power, it must comprehend sword intent. If the person refining the puppet wasn't a sword cultivator, it was impossible to refine a sword cultivator puppet. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no problem. He used 3 days to refine all parts of the puppet and also used Tai Essence Gold to refine a mid-grade 4th stage origin returning sword. What was left was the soul of the puppet. A 4th stage sword cultivator puppet had relatively high requirements for the soul. It couldn't be a human with too complicated thoughts, and the strength of the soul couldn't be too low. It was best to use some demon beast souls with slightly higher intelligence. Wang Daoyuan used the soul of a high-grade 2nd stage fierce blood boar. There were always more than 10 fierce blood boars in the space of the spirit pearl. They were used to provide food for Yun-Yi and the others. Now, they came in handy. He slaughtered a fierce blood boar and handed the pork to his clone. He erased all the memories in the soul and used a secret technique to modify the soul, making it easier for it to control sword intent. However, the price of modifying the soul was also very high. This soul didn't have the ability to learn anything else. Moreover, the soul became even more fragile and easily destroyed. After the soul was modified, Wang Daoyuan took out some nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower to stabilize the soul and prevent it from collapsing. Then, Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying entered the space of the spirit pearl and brought the soul in. With the help of the flow of time in the space, it helped the soul comprehend sword intent. In addition, he also had to teach the soul a few sword cultivator spells. Perhaps because Wang Daoyuan's Guiyuan sword intent was more difficult, it took half a year for the puppet's soul to master sword intent. The flow of time in the space of the spirit pearl had already exceeded 80 times. Half a year in the outside world was more than 40 years in the space. Then, he spent some effort to let the puppet's soul master some sword cultivator spells. He fused the puppet's soul into the puppet and installed 3 4th stage spirit gathering pearls on it. Wang Daoyuan put more effort into this puppet, and it reached 4th stage middle grade. He summoned Yun-Yi and Wang Minglong back and let them be the puppet's sparring partners. After the battle puppet was refined, it needed someone to practice with to improve its combat ability. These 2 guys had been locked in the space of the spirit pearl for too long. They had been playing outside for more than half a year. Now that Wang Daoyuan had come out of seclusion, the 2 of them were like obedient children, standing obediently. Yun-Yi only had 2 hind legs on the ground, looking very reserved. Wang Daoyuan took out the newly refined sword puppet. This is the puppet I refined. It needs someone with similar strength to be its sparring partner. The 2 of you are very good. Hearing this, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. They thought that they had been discovered for their misdeeds, but they didn't expect that they were just sparring partners. Chapter 858. Yun-Yi was originally standing on her 2 hind paws. Now that she was relieved, she put down her 2 front paws. Wang Daoyuan continued, especially you, Yun-Yi. Upon hearing this, Yun-Yi's front paws, which had just been put down, left the ground again. Her entire tiger body stood upright, her body straight, and she looked guilty. You're usually lazy. Other than roaring, you only know how to run away. This time, you're sparring with the sword puppet, so you should train well. No matter what, you're still of the white tiger bloodline, but your physical combat ability is so poor. If you're lazy again, go take a bath in the lava lake. By the way, during the period when I was in seclusion to improve the puppet technique, the 2 of you didn't cause any trouble, right? The dragon and tiger hurriedly shook their heads. Wang Minglong shook his head until his black hair fluttered everywhere. Yin Yi's big head shook so much that it left after images. These two guys were jumpy. It would be strange if they didn't cause any trouble. Little uncle didn't send a letter over, so they probably didn't cause any trouble. He didn't intend to investigate further and turned to walk out of the cave abode. Yin Yi heaved a sigh of relief, put down her front paws, and followed behind Wang Daoyuan. The foundation of the puppet's soul was only the soul of a second-tier upper-grade demon beast. Although it could barely reach the level of a golden core cultivator in terms of comprehending sword intent after being improved by a secret technique. However, its divine sense was too weak, not even comparable to a second-tier demon beast. It was naturally not a problem to take care of the spirit field, but it was troublesome to fight enemies. Without the control of the master, it was difficult to lock onto the enemy. If it encountered an opponent good at hiding, it would be completely blind. To lock onto the opponent, there were generally 3 methods. The first was to rely on the master's divine sense to guide the attack, which was the case for most puppets. The second was to rely on external guidance, just like those puppets in the Ziwei Palace of the 7 Stars Mystic Realm, tracking the enemy through the changes in the strength of the floor. The most reliable, but also the most difficult, was to rely on a secret technique to track. Just like the sword puppet guarding Wanchuan Market now, it used a secret technique to capture the opponent's aura and then lock onto the opponent's position. When using this method, the consumption of divine sense was even greater. It was already very difficult to let a puppet's soul learn sword intent and sword cultivation dharma spells. Now, it was even more difficult to let it learn a detection secret technique. Of course, there was also a simplified version. It was too strenuous to cultivate the secret technique, so he used the detection of his opponent's artifact to track them. Although this method was more difficult to refine, it could save a lot of time and resources to nurture the puppet's soul. Ordinary puppets didn't need to fight alone, so there was no need for them to spend so much effort. The puppet that Wang Daoyuan had refined did not come with any secret detection technique. In battle, he still had to use his divine sense to command. Outside the Immortals' cave, his spiritual awareness swept towards the serene South Mountain. Little Uncle and the others moved quickly. In such a short time, the scale of the South Serene Mountain had begun to appear. He had opened up more than 300 mu of spiritual fields, and more than 50 mu of them had been upgraded to the second stage. He had also set up a defensive formation that covered half of Mount Serene. Naturally, he couldn't let the puppets fight with Yun Yi and the others and damage his family's business. After flying downstream for more than 500 miles along the Pluto River, the battle of the Jindan level could no longer interfere with the serene South Mountain. Wang Daoyuan said, "Yun Yi, you go first." No roaring, no wings. With a pitiful look, Yun Yi had to bite the bullet and fight with the puppets. Wang Daoyuan controlled the puppets and cast the Tiangang sword formation, condensing 36 sword shadows. Yun Yi couldn't roar or use wings. She could only condense a huge soul-devouring dark tiger phantom to resist the attack of the sword shadows. After all, Yun Yi had a small magical power, and her control of spiritual power was stronger. She constantly replenished the power of the soul-devouring dark tiger phantom, and the sword shadows really couldn't break its defense. She also used her tiger claws to attack the sword shadows from time to time, which had some power. It was not bad that this fat cat could do this. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to let the puppets directly form a sword formation. If Yun Yi couldn't withstand it, she might be seriously injured. Ming Long, your defensive ability is stronger in the water. You can be my sparring partner. In a while, the puppets will combine these 36 sword shadows into a sword formation, which is much more powerful. You must do your best and can't slack off. If you feel that you can't withstand it, you can escape into the water. Wang Minglong nodded, turned into his original form, and jumped into the Netherworld King's river. Then, a huge amount of river water gathered around him, and quickly formed a huge black water ball. 36 sword shadows surrounded the water ball. These sword shadows released sword chi at the same time, attacking the water ball. The entire river was shining with silver light, so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. Wang Minglong extracted the spiritual power in the Netherworld King's river and integrated it into the water ball to resist these sword chi. After a dozen breaths, a black dragon formed by black water flew out of the river. The entire Netherworld King's river boiled, and countless black water surged towards the black dragon. Countless sword chi slashed on the black dragon, but only a small splash of water. The black dragon swung its tail and broke the sword formation. 36 sword shadows merged together and slashed towards the black dragon. With a loud bang, the sword shadows shattered. The black dragon also turned back into river water and scattered all over the mountains. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied. Wang Minglong's strength in the water was already better than most mid-stage golden core cultivators. This sword puppet had just been refined, and its spells and other aspects had not been integrated. It was rare to be able to fight to a draw with Wang Minglong. Wang Daoyuan took time out every day to control the puppet and fight with Wang Minglong and Yun Yi. A month later, the sword puppet could already skillfully use all sword cultivation spells. With the power of the Guiyuan sword intent and Wang Daoyuan's control, it could already easily defeat Wang Minglong. This puppet could be considered to have been trained. Wang Daoyuan carved 2 words, yellow armor, on the back of the puppet. The Wang family would have more and more battle puppets in the future, and it was too tiring to name them one by one. They named the puppets according to heaven, earth, black, yellow, and heavenly stem. The 4th stage puppet was yellow, the 5th stage, black, the 6th stage, earth, and the 7th stage, heaven. The sword puppet in the Wanchuan market was named Black Armor. The 5th stage low-grade close combat puppet that 5th great uncle always carried was named Black Armor. In the future, when there were more than 10 puppets, they would be named with numbers. Yellow armor was almost ready, and Wang Daoyuan also planned to refine a 5th stage puppet. Now that the spirit veins in the sky/mountain range had recovered to the 5th stage, there would be more and more Yuanian cultivators. After 100 years, there would probably be hundreds of Yuanian cultivators in the entire Beiyuan Shuxin. At that time, golden core cultivators could only be considered as mid-level combat power. The Wang family's foundation was weak, and the only one who could break through to the Yuanian realm within 100 years was 12th uncle. He did not know when he would have to go to the Sea of 7 Stars to prepare to break through to the Soul Formation realm. It was difficult for the family to maintain a deterrent force by relying only on 12th uncle. They had to have enough 5th stage puppets to protect them. The 5th stage puppet had a higher requirement for the soul of a demonic beast. It needed at least the soul of a 3rd stage upper grade demonic beast. Wang Daoyuan also wanted the 5th stage sword puppet to have the ability to search for targets on its own. In this way, the requirement for the soul of a demonic beast would be even higher. It was not easy for the Yen Kingdom to obtain the souls of 4th stage demonic beasts. He sent a message to Zhou Wan, explaining the situation here and asking her to help find the souls of 4th stage demonic beasts. Blood Shadow's methods were still very strong, so this was nothing to him. Half a month later, Wang Daojian received 10 Dharma artifacts that stored Ghost Dao. They were all 4th stage demonic beast souls. With the souls in hand, he could start refining the puppet. As for the detection method, he was not confident that he could directly refine a puppet that could use a secret technique to track the enemy. He might as well refine a puppet that could use a Dharma artifact to track the enemy first. Wang Daoyuan's own refining and array formation skills were only at the 5th stage inferior grade. The possibility of failure when refining a 5th stage inferior grade puppet was still not small. After a full year and several failures, he finally succeeded in refining a 5th stage inferior grade sword puppet. Wang Daoyuan also used the Tai Divine Gold to refine a 5th stage inferior grade origin returning sword for him. As for the 5th stage puppet, he could only find his clone, the Grey Rock. Chapter 859. With a thought from Wang Daoyuan, the Grey Rock patrolling the various territories of the Wang family quickly came to Mount Serene. He knew the puppet and the Grey Rock inside out, so there was nothing he needed to tell them. He flew more than 1,000 miles north of Mount Serene and released the puppet to fight the Grey Rock. Inside the puppet, there was a magic weapon that could lock onto the opponent. It could automatically track the opponent, so there was no need for Wang Daoyuan to control it with his spiritual sense. This type of puppet also had a huge flaw, which was that it could not distinguish between friend and foe. He needed to slowly remember whether it was friend or foe. After all, the soul of the rank 5 puppet was refined from the soul of a rank 4 demon beast, so it had a good foundation. It could learn more things and could slowly learn to distinguish between friend and foe. The puppet and the gray rock began to fight, and the gray rock took the lead by relying on its speed. At this time, inside the puppet's head, there was a small compass with a diameter of 3 inches, flickering with silver light. These lights formed a 3-dimensional topographic map, and everything within 1,000 miles was in this map. Of course, in order to conserve spiritual power, some places were blurred. After discovering the target, the objects around the target would become extremely clear. Living objects would show a red dot. The stronger the object, the more dazzling the red dot. The gray rock attacked, and the red dot on the topographic map representing the gray rock flickered violently, rapidly approaching the center. This magic weapon was also derived from the compass. Although it was only a small piece, it was a genuine rank 5 low-grade magic weapon, and was extremely difficult to refine. This compass could be used to search for the enemy's tracks if taken out alone. However, Yuanian cultivators had no use for this thing, and golden core cultivators did not need such a high-grade tool. Just as the gray rock flew in front of the puppet suddenly turned into a silver light and dodged the attack. This escape technique was called the silver light escape, and was also a type of sword escape technique. When Wang Daoyuan helped the Tai sword sect to upgrade the Tai divine sword to rank 5, they sent him many sword cultivation spells. He also cultivated a few, and this silver light escape was one of them. The gray rock's attack missed, and it flapped its wings fiercely. Dozens of feathers formed by wind's spiritual power attacked the silver light. After the silver light escaped more than 10 miles, it turned back into a puppet. He swung his sword horizontally, and countless silver lights flew out, condensing into a large silver bell. This spell was the demon-resisting sword bell, a spell from the Beiyuan sword codex. Now that it was used together with the Beiyuan sword intent, its power was quite impressive. One by one, the feathers were deflected by the bell, and the puppet easily withstood the attack. The gray rock attacked again. The large bells around the puppet turned back into sword chi and formed the demon-slaying sword. He brandished his sword with both hands and slashed at the gray rock. The gray rock relied on his cultivation advantage and did not have the slightest intention of dodging. Its 2 wings flapped fiercely, setting off several whirlwinds. The demon slayer sword slashed down, dispersing all of the whirlwinds. The shadow of the giant sword also disappeared. Naturally, the gray rock wouldn't just sit there and wait. Before the puppet could break the whirlwind, it had already attacked the puppet. With an ear-piercing sound of wind breaking, the gray rock suddenly appeared in front of the puppet and pressed it under its claws. The 5th-level lower-grade sword cultivator puppet had just been refined, so it was reasonable for it to be defeated by the gray rock, a semi-divine beast with a higher cultivation. It could use the silver light escape to avoid the gray rock's surprise attack, and then use the demon-resisting sword bell to resist the gray rock's feathers. This performance had reached the level of a 5th-level lower-grade puppet. Wang Daoyuan engraved the 2 words, Xian Bing, on its back. Wang Daoyuan didn't need to control this puppet, so he simply let the gray rock slowly train it. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave residence and continued to refine the next 5th-level lower-grade puppet. There were still a few demon beast souls sent by Zhou Wan, and he had the experience of several failures and 1 success. The second puppet didn't have many twists and turns. It took him half a year to completely refine it. Wang Daoyuan also released this puppet and let the gray rock slowly train it. Now, there was no need to rush to refine the 3rd 5th-level puppet. Refining 2 5th-level lower-grade puppets was enough. It wouldn't be too late to refine puppets after his refining and formation skills were upgraded to the 5th-level middle grade. After all, Beiyuan Xiuxian didn't have any 5th-level refining materials for the time being. The 5th-level refining materials used now were all accumulated before. He needed to use these 2 puppets to explore the Mirage Fog Sea. 2 was enough. Any more wouldn't be of much use. After these two puppets were refined, Wang Daoyuan left South Serene Mountain and came to Guiyan City Square. Now, this place could no longer be called a city square. It should be called Guiyan City. Ever since the half-demons submitted, they began to build city walls here. Once the demon beasts attacked in large numbers, they could use Guiyan City to temporarily hold back the demon beasts. This was to prevent these beasts from directly running to the South Mountain and harming the core territory of the Wang family. The current Guiyan City was the county city of Guiyan County. The entire city wasn't big, only 30 square miles. The original Guiyan City Square was mostly in the city. The structure of the buildings didn't change much, but the management was stricter. Wang Daoyuan came to the Shanbei branch. The current hall master was Wang Daojian. However, the grade of the spirit veins in Guiyan City was too low. Even with the recovery of spirit qi, the spirit veins here had only been upgraded to middle grade level 3. As the stepping stone for the Wang family to enter the upper echelons of blood shadow, Wang Daojian needed to increase his cultivation as soon as possible. Naturally, he wouldn't stay here forever. The ones in charge here were Wang Daoyuan's clone, Fang Hu, and a Wang family Zifu realm cultivator from the Five Elements mystic realm. This cultivator was called Wang Dekong. He was the great-grandson of Wang Shoufeng. His talent could only be considered above average, but he had some expertise in intelligence. The family focused on nurturing him. After his cultivation reached the 8th level of foundation establishment, they let him join the Blood Shadow Mountain North Branch. Wang Daoyuan came to Zhouwan's cave abode and waited for Fang Hu and Yao Long to come over. Both of them were early-stage golden core cultivators. They didn't have anything to show for the 4 alchemy, artifacts, and talisman arrays. In the past, they wanted to guard the Shanbei and Qingli branches. Now, Blood Shadow's headquarters had tacitly agreed that these 2 branches belonged to the Wang family. With the Wang family's current strength, no one dared to touch these 2 branches. There was no reason to keep them. After greeting Wang Dekong, he put away these 2 clones and took out his subsouls. He couldn't let go of their physical bodies either. Without their subsouls, they would become muddle-headed. It would be a pity to kill these 2 free laborers. It would be good to nurture them and let them do some simple work in the space of the Spirit Pearl. After dealing with the 2 useless clones, he returned to Mount Serene. Gray Peng was still training the 2 clones. Wang Daoyuan was also cultivating in the cave abode. Half a year later, Gray Peng was almost done training the 2 puppets. The combat power of the 2 puppets was stronger than ordinary mid-stage 5th stage cultivators. Even if they encountered a low-stage 5th stage divine beast, they would have the upper hand. He fused his subsouls into the sword puppets Xianbing and Xianding to refine them into clones. He had already made all the necessary preparations. He left Gray Peng's clone to look after Mount Serene. Yun Yi and Wang Minglong couldn't help, so he simply didn't bring them along. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave abode and told Wang Minglong and Yun Yi, "I'll be out for a few days. You 2 be obedient and don't cause trouble for me." They nodded obediently, indicating that they would definitely not cause trouble. Wang Daoyuan once again entered the cave and headed for the Zijin River Valley. A few days later, he appeared at the mouth of the Zijin River. He took Xianbing and Xianding out of the space of the Spirit Pearl and let them explore the Mirage Fog Sea. The 2 sword puppets sat on the low-stage 5th stage flying boat and flew towards the east. Soon, they merged into the vast fog. He activated his panoramic perception to see what was in this Mirage Fog Sea. In this fog, the detection method of the puppets was more reliable than a person's divine sense. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering secret technique and could only detect about 100 miles. The compass of the sword puppets could detect 600 to 700 miles away. After more than 10,000 miles, there was a vast fog everywhere. There was also endless seawater below. They didn't encounter any islands or demonic beasts. Chapter 860. Above the sea, there was no point of reference. Even the sun, moon, and stars were covered. The two puppets could no longer determine the direction by themselves. If not for Wang Daoyuan's command, they would have already started running around. If Wang Daoyuan went in by himself, it would not be a problem for him to determine the direction. Yuanian cultivators were very sensitive to spirit qi and could sense the subtle changes in the flow of spirit qi. Near the sky/mountain range, spirit qi flowed from the main vein of the mountain range to other places. Therefore, as long as one followed the direction of the flow of spirit qi, one could deduce the approximate direction. Cultivators below the Yuanian level would find it difficult to sense such subtle changes. Once they entered the mirage fog sea, they could only run around like headless flies. Back then, the 10,000 corpse Daoist master relied on his demonic beast avatar and luck to break through the mirage fog sea. Those who could escape from the mouth of the Thousand River to the Purple Gold River Valley were all very lucky. The two puppets carried many spirit-gathering pearls and rode on a flying boat. They did not have to worry about spirit qi consumption for a short period of time. They continued to go east until they were more than 30,000 kilometers away from the mouth of the river. Xianbing and Xianding found a small island with a radius of more than 10 kilometers. Wang Daoyuan did not care about losing the puppets. He let Xianbing land on the island to investigate the situation. Xianbing came to the center of the island and activated the compass on his head with all his strength. The surrounding situation was quickly displayed on the compass. Wang Daoyuan was still in the state of panoramic perception. He checked the situation on the island through the compass. The entire island was in ruins. It was obvious that there used to be a large building here. Moreover, there was a 4th-grade low-grade spirit vein on the island. The compass was still not clear enough. It could only see big things but not tool patterns. If he relied on his divine sense, the puppet's divine sense would be no different from nothing in this fog. Wang Daoyuan could not be sure if there were tool patterns or array patterns on these buildings. Among the ruins, there were many bones of demonic beasts and humans. Xianbing stepped on some bones and turned them into ashes. There was also a dragon's horn in the pile of bones. Unfortunately, it had lost its essence and turned into ashes with a light touch. Xianbing walked around the entire island, but he didn't find any formations that could still be used. Wang Daoyuan decided to take a look himself since he couldn't detect the words with the compass. It was still hard to say where the Valley of Beasts was hidden. The range of his panoramic perception clone was only about 60,000 kilometers. This was the only small island they could see in the depths of the Mirage Fog Sea. It was unlikely that they would find the entrance to the Valley of Beasts even if they were 30,000 miles deeper. If he wanted to obtain the remaining treasures of the Valley of Beasts, he would have to enter the Mirage Fog Sea. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength, even if he didn't use Yinglong's demon-slaying sword, he would still be on par with a greater demon monarch. Furthermore, he was good at fighting many at once with his domain divine power. He could escape unscathed even if 3 to 5 greater demon monarchs attacked him. Even if there was a greater demon monarch ambush, there was nothing to be afraid of. He might even be able to capture another greater demon monarch's avatar. The demon race was a bunch of boorish people who only knew how to use force. They were nothing to be afraid of. Previously, he was worried about what the Valley of Beasts had left behind. At the location of the Purple Gold River's branch hall, there was a contingency that made people and demon beasts not dare to transcend the tribulation. There would be even more arrangements at the entrance, so Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to barge in recklessly. Now that the puppets were scouting ahead, there was nothing to be afraid of. If there was any danger, the puppets would be the first to be unlucky. He controlled the high-grade Tier 5 flying boat and flew towards the small island where the two puppets were. More than 2 hours later, the flying boat landed on the small island. The scene that Wang Daoyuan saw with his eyes and spiritual consciousness was much clearer than the puppet's compass. There were indeed many traces of array patterns on the dilapidated walls. However, these array patterns were too damaged. It was impossible to repair them. Looking at these remnant array patterns, some were Tier 5 array patterns. The other array patterns were more complicated than Tier 5 array patterns. They were at least Tier 6 array patterns. The Valley of Beasts attached great importance to this small island and had even set up a Tier 6 array formation. Wang Daoyuan used a spell to clean up the dilapidated walls and rotten bones. He also found some traces of spirit fields on the ground. Unfortunately, after so many years, the spirit fields had long been destroyed. There were no traces of spirit plants left. After all, the Valley of Beasts had been trampled flat by demon beasts. Everything that could be eaten would not be left. Wang Daoyuan searched for a long time before he found a broken stone tablet. The handwriting on it was already incomplete. Wang Daoyuan carefully identified it and found the words, Purple Gold River. This small island might be under the jurisdiction of the Purple Gold River Branch Hall. From the looks of it, the Valley of Beasts mountain gate was still deeper. There was nothing valuable on the entire island, so Wang Daoyuan temporarily settled down here. He ordered the 2 puppets to drive the flying boat and continue to head east. He stayed on this island for the time being, waiting for news from the front. After the 2 puppets flew more than 50,000 miles, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to continue waiting on this island, lest he lost contact with the 2 puppets. He rowed the flying boat and followed the 2 puppets, maintaining a distance of 50,000 miles. The 2 puppets flew more than 60,000 miles again and found a new island. This island was not small, with a diameter of more than 1,000 miles. This scale was not considered a large island in the Sea of 7 Stars. However, Beiyuan was mainly on land. Whether it was the West Sea or the East Sea, the islands were very small. An island with a diameter of more than 1,000 miles was already a rare large island. In the middle of this island were a few mountain peaks connected together. There was a peak Tier 4 non-attributed spirit vein in the mountain. There were many dilapidated building ruins on the mountain, and shattered rocks were everywhere. There was no array formation on the island, so it had probably been completely destroyed. Wang Daoyuan set up the high-grade Tier 5 flying boat and flew towards the large island. More than 4 hours later, he arrived at this island. Most of the buildings on the entire island were concentrated on the few mountain peaks in the middle. Looking from the west, these mountain peaks looked like a tiger about to pounce. Especially in the fog, it was hard to see clearly, and the pressure was extremely strong. The terrain around the mountain peaks was relatively flat, but there were many traces of spirit fields. Unfortunately, there were only some low-grade weeds and trees left. Wang Daoyuan flew to a ruin at the foot of the mountain and carefully examined these dilapidated buildings. In the end, he found a stone tablet. This stone tablet had been divided into several pieces. After turning these pieces over and putting them together, he saw the words, Valley of Beasts White Tiger Hall, engraved on it. Zijinchuan was only a branch hall. This place was called White Tiger Hall, not a branch hall. The scale of the buildings on this island was indeed far superior to Zijinchuan's branch hall. It seemed that the status of this White Tiger Hall was higher than Zijinchuan's branch hall. This time, Wang Daoyuan's interest was piqued. He found the true dragon body tempering technique in Zijinchuan's branch hall. White Tiger Hall's status was higher, so he might be able to find more secret manuals. After clearing the ruins, a long stone staircase appeared in front of him. This stone staircase went from the southernmost part of the mountain peaks to the highest peak. If these buildings were intact, they should be symmetrically distributed on both sides of the stone staircase. This layout was similar to Zijinchuan's. There were several courtyards, and the central axis of each courtyard was in a line. The scale of the buildings on White Tiger Hall's side was much larger than Zijinchuan's. The ruins had been cleared, and there were no traces of secret rooms on the ground of these buildings. He walked up the stone staircase all the way to the top. There was a platform that was more than 300 feet long and more than 100 feet wide. There were traces of walls and pillars on it. It seemed that it used to be a hall. This was already the core building of White Tiger Hall. Whether there was anything good or not, it all depended on this. Wang Daoyuan released the dust-returning flame and burned the foundation directly. Without the protection of the formation, no matter how strong the materials were, they would not be able to withstand the burning of the dust-returning flame. After a few dozen breaths, the entire foundation turned into a pit that was more than 10 feet deep. In the center of the pit, a 3-foot square hole was exposed. Chapter 861. Seeing this cave, Wang Daoyuan's interest was piqued. Previously at the Zijin River branch, the inheritances and other items were placed in an underground secret room. This could be where the White Tiger Hall stored their inheritances. This kind of place would definitely have a backup plan. Previously at the Zijin River branch, Long Yuntian hid in the place where the inheritances were stored. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to go in easily. Instead, he sent the 2 sword puppets, Xian Bing and Xian Ding, down. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for more than 50,000 years. Even if there was anything left, it could only be puppets, refined corpses, and the like. The strength of these things would also be limited by the spirit energy. Beiyuan Xiuxian had just reappeared with level 5 spirit energy. The spirit energy on this island had not recovered to level 5 yet. Even if there was a backup plan, it was very likely that it had not recovered to level 5. Even if it had a good foundation, it might have the strength of a beginner Yuanying. With this bit of strength, it would be difficult for it to cause any trouble in front of 2 level 5 lower grade sword puppets. Wang Daoyuan also sent Liao Yang's clone down. With just 2 puppets, they would not be able to find the slightest trace. It was better to have a living clone to investigate the situation. The 3 clones went down the cave and found that there was a huge stone room below. The layout of this stone room was similar to the underground stone room at the Zijin River branch. However, the scale of this stone room was much larger. There were dozens of bookshelves in the stone room. There were also shelves for artifacts, pills, and other items. Every shelf was made of spirit wood. Even now, they were all at the peak of level 4. Unfortunately, these shelves were empty. There was not even a jade scroll left. The 3 doppelgangers searched the entire underground stone room, but they didn't find anything of value. In the corner of the large stone room, there was an unlocked stone door. Xian Bing and Liao Yang walked over and opened the stone door. They found the control center of the formation inside. The formation core had already collapsed, and the formation patterns outside were all destroyed. Even if the control center was still there, it was of no value. Wang Daoyuan really wanted to flip this mountain over. After spending so much effort, there was nothing at all. To think that he had been so careful. He personally entered the cave and checked it carefully. However, he did not find anything. There might be some hidden compartments in this kind of place, but he was too lazy to slowly investigate. Once again, he released the returning dust flame and burned all the rocks in the cave. Soon, a hole appeared in the ground. Wang Daoyuan still didn't go down easily. He let the 3 doppelgangers go first. There wasn't any stone room or anything like that at the bottom of the cave. There wasn't anything stored here, but it was an escape tunnel. The underground cave where the inheritance was stored was not damaged at all. The bookshelves and the like were all intact. The demonic beasts definitely couldn't reach here. Furthermore, there were no inheritances, artifacts, or other items left in this place. This meant that the disciples of the Valley of Beasts of White Tiger Hall had calmly retreated. The cave below could lead to the entrance of the Valley of Beasts, or somewhere far away from White Tiger Hall. The clone continued to walk down the passageway. After walking for more than 10,000 miles, the passageway finally came to an end. Wang Daoyuan also felt a little emotional. The person who dug the tunnel was really bored. Even if he had the dust-returning flame, a divine tool for digging tunnels, he didn't have the heart to dig such a long tunnel. The exit was another small island with a radius of more than 20 miles. There were very few buildings, and most of them had been destroyed. Wang Daoyuan was still at White Tiger Hall. He sensed the location of his doppelgangers and confirmed that the island was more than 10,000 miles east of White Tiger Hall. He directly took the flying boat and flew toward the small island. Along the way, he encountered a few small islands. Most of them had some buildings, but they were all destroyed. He also checked around, but he didn't find anything valuable. When he arrived at the island where the puppet was, he let the puppet explore the east again. He continued to follow behind the puppet. When they encountered smaller islands, the puppet didn't stop and continued to search the east. Wang Daoyuan stayed behind to check these islands. He wanted to find some clues. On the first few islands, he found the words, White Tiger Hall. After flying for 20,000 miles, he encountered another island. There were no words, White Tiger Hall, but Valley of Beasts. Wang Daoyuan had some guesses in his heart. The islands that he passed by before either had the words, Zijinchuan or White Tiger Hall. These islands should be under the jurisdiction of Zijinchuan and White Tiger Hall. Here, it was written Valley of Beasts. It should be the headquarters of the Valley of Beasts. Sure enough, the puppet continued to fly east for more than 30,000 miles. A huge island appeared in front of him. The two puppets' detection range was too small. They couldn't determine how big this island was. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to let the two puppets go deep. He quickly rushed over. When he arrived at this big island, he didn't directly go deep. Instead, he explored along the coast. The flying boat circled the coast for 4 hours, but he couldn't make a circle. With clouds and mist blocking, his divine sense couldn't explore too far. It was really hard to say how big this island was. There were some dilapidated buildings on the coast of the island, but the scale was not big. He didn't find any remnants of words. However, the concentration of spirit energy in this island was not low. It was already at the level of low-grade level 5. It was not much lower than the sky/mountain range. The territory was big enough, and the grade of the spirit vein was high enough. If the Valley of Beasts wanted to choose a headquarters, this was the best choice. Who knew how long it would take for Wang Daoyuan and a few of his clones to explore such a large place? He took the Wasp King out of the space in the Spirit Pearl and released a few ordinary soul-chasing bees. Will your connection with the other soul-chasing bees be affected by this fog? The Wasp King replied, the other soul-chasing bees are my children. The connection between me and them is a bloodline connection. It has nothing to do with divine sense. In this fog, it won't be affected at all. It's just that they rely on smell to detect spiritual items. In this fog, they will also be affected. Wang Daoyuan released tens of thousands of low-grade level 3 soul-chasing bees from the space in the Spirit Pearl and said to the Wasp King, order them to explore the situation on this island. Once they encounter demonic beasts, formations, rank 4 spiritual plants, and large-scale buildings, report immediately. If they encounter ruins of buildings more than 10 miles in radius, report as well. It doesn't matter if the exploration distance is affected. With so many soul-chasing bees, they can always turn this island upside down. The Wasp King received the order and immediately ordered the other soul-chasing bees. After more than 10 breaths, these soul-chasing bees scattered. In less than half a cup of tea's time, the soul-chasing bees began to report their findings to the Wasp King. At first, they only found rank 4 spiritual plants. This was not surprising. It would be strange if there were no rank 4 spiritual plants on such a big island with a high-grade spirit vein. Wang Daoyuan planned to find the inheritance first and put the rank 4 spiritual plants aside for the time being. After a quarter of an hour, the soul-chasing bees began to report that they found ruins of buildings with a radius of 10 to 20 miles. The Yen Kingdom had just been established, and the capital was 50 square miles. Beiyuan Shoshan had declined so much that the capital of some small countries was dozens of miles in radius. When the Valley of Beasts was still there, Beiyuan Shoshan still had a rank 7 spirit vein. At that time, it was much more prosperous than now. The Valley of Beasts was such a big force, and its core area could not be so small. Wang Daoyuan was not moved and continued to wait for the news of the other soul-chasing bees. Soon, the Wasp King's expression changed. Master, a few children were killed in the northeast. They were killed instantly. They didn't have time to send back any news, so I can't be sure what happened to them. The Valley of Beasts' strongest method was to tame spirit beasts. There was only a branch at 10,000 Dragon Mountain, but there were a large number of dragon species left behind. There were also many divine beast bloodlines at the headquarters. No one had cared for them for tens of thousands of years, and they had long become kings. Wang Daoyuan took out the flying boat and brought the Wasp King and the two sword puppets to the place where the soul-chasing bees died. Chapter 862. Along the way, the soul-chasing bees had explored everything. Except for the place where the soul-chasing bees died, there was no trace of the enemy. This fog brought great trouble to Wang Daoyuan's exploration, but it also provided him with excellent cover. He was probably in the southwest of the island. He went all the way to the northeast and soon came to the place where the soul-chasing bees died. There was a mountain range more than 40,000 feet high here, but it was unknown how long it was. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense could only explore the situation within 100 miles, and the puppets could only explore the situation within 500 miles. The length of this mountain range was obviously more than 1,000 miles. The two sword puppets pushed the compass to the extreme, but they couldn't detect any traces of living creatures. Wang Daoyuan activated his divine power domain, covering a radius of 600 miles. Unfortunately, his divine power domain was not strong enough. Although it could ignore the clouds and mist in this range, the mountain range in front of him and the underground rock formation still couldn't be penetrated. After using the divine power domain to explore for a long time, he still couldn't find anything like a demonic beast. Unfortunately, he didn't bring Dahe. After breaking through to Tier 4, his sense of smell had also improved greatly. Nothing within 3,000 miles could escape from his nose. If the demonic beasts didn't show up, he couldn't do anything. Now he was sure that there was something powerful on this island. Although Wang Daoyuan was very confident in his strength, it was easy to dodge an open spear but hard to guard against a hidden arrow. If he didn't catch these rats hiding in the dark, he didn't dare to rashly go deep. Although it was not a problem to deal with several great demon kings at the same time by relying on the divine power domain. But if 5 or 6 great demon kings came out, he wouldn't even know how he died. Even if 20 or 30 Tier 5 low-grade demonic beasts came out, it would be enough for him to suffer. The enemy was in the dark, and he was in the light. This was too disadvantageous. He put away the flying boat and the two puppets, put on the black magic robe, and hid his figure. He still carried the Wasp King with him to control the whereabouts of the soul-chasing bees. More than an hour later, the Wasp King said, "Master, my children found a large area of ruins more than 10,000 miles to the northeast. These ruins are in a valley, and the area is very large, covering an area of 300 miles. There are defensive formations in some parts of the ruins. A few more children were killed near the ruins." After receiving this information, Wang Daoyuan felt more confident. This place should be where the mountain gate of the Valley of Beasts was located. After all, it was called the Valley of Beasts, so it had to have something to do with the valley. Such a large scale was in line with the standard of a large force. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed that there were still some formations in the ruins. The more central a sect was, the more powerful the defensive formation would be. When facing an external attack, it was also the easiest to preserve. To a force, the most important place was the treasury and the place where the inheritance was stored. The places protected by formations in the ruins were most likely these two. However, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to go there rashly. There was a formation there, and it was possible that the Valley of Beasts had left something behind. A few more soul-chasing bees were killed near the ruins, indicating that there was more than one wave of hidden enemies. It was unknown what the relationship between this group of enemies and the Valley of Beasts was. If they were not in cahoots with the Valley of Beasts, it would be easy to handle. If they were in cahoots with the Valley of Beasts, he might be surrounded and beaten up if he went there rashly. Moreover, Wang Daoyuan could now be sure that nothing had happened in the Yan Kingdom. Although this place was very far from the Yan Kingdom and he could not perceive the situation of the clone there, he could still perceive the general situation of the clone. If the clone died or was seriously injured, Wang Daoyuan could still sense it. If there was neither, it meant that the other side was safe. He was not in a hurry to go back, so he took his time here. After clearing the periphery, he went to explore the ruins with the formation. Be king, let those soul-chasing bees retreat. Now that we know where the target is, there is no need to fly around, lest we lose too many. The bee king obeyed and ordered all the soul-chasing bees to return. An hour later, all the soul-chasing bees flew back. Wang Daoyuan kept most of the soul-chasing bees in the space of the spiritual pearl, leaving only 100 or so to search around the mountain range. He wanted to see if the guy hiding in the dark could hold back. The soul-chasing bees searched nearby. When they encountered caves, rock crevices, and other things, they would burrow in to investigate. No matter how good the opponent was at hiding, they could always find clues. Wang Daoyuan continued to wait here. In a competition of patience, how could he lose to a few demon beasts? Unless the demonic beast was a tortoise, it wouldn't be able to hold on for long. After waiting here for a day, the demon hiding in the dark finally could not take it anymore. The Bee King sent a voice transmission. Master, more than 150 kilometers to the east, one of my children was killed. Wang Daoyuan immediately activated his divine power domain. At the same time, he used the sky-piercing sword escape and turned into a silver light, flying towards the east. The moment the divine power was activated, the target was locked on. This was not a demon beast, but an inferior grade tier 5 refined corpse. This refined corpse looked a little strange. It looked like a wolf, but it had wings. Since it was already a refined corpse, he could only use the methods of refining corpses. There was no point in dwelling on its bloodline. Although this guy had wings, after becoming a refined corpse, its speed was far from when it was alive. The silver light that Wang Daoyuan turned into quickly caught up. When he got close, he wanted to use these clouds to condense the Gui water divine thunder. But he did not expect these clouds to be difficult to control. It seemed that the area around the Valley of Beasts was really a little strange. Wang Daoyuan could only use his spiritual power to condense an almost transparent water ball. After the water ball left his hand, it caught up with the refined corpse at an extremely fast speed. The refined corpse's consciousness was extremely weak and did not notice that the water ball had directly merged into its body. After a moment, it fell to the ground, completely losing the ability to move. The core of the refined corpse, the corpse core, had already been shattered by the Gui water divine thunder. A refined corpse without a corpse core was like a Yuanying cultivator without a Yuanying, only an empty shell was left. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the power of the Gui water divine thunder. As expected of the 5 elements divine thunder, it did not consume too much spiritual power to finish off an inferior grade tier 5 refined corpse. Naturally refined corpses were extremely rare and could only be formed in a place with natural yin energy. Obviously, there was no such terrain nearby. Since there was a refined corpse, there was a 99% chance that it was specially refined by someone. This refined corpse should be one of the backup plans left behind by the Valley of Beasts. After finishing off this refined corpse, Wang Daoyuan did not destroy the flying wolf refined corpse. Instead, he hid himself again and found a new place nearby to continue waiting. If this refined corpse had an owner and he killed one, there would definitely be people coming to investigate. It wasn't a bad choice to wait here for the rabbit. Indeed, after he finished off the flying wolf refined corpse, another refined corpse flew over. This refined corpse was in the form of a human and had a mid-grade tier 5 cultivation. He went to the place where the flying wolf refined corpse was killed and checked it out. With a hoarse voice, he said, Tier 5 Gui water divine thunder. Could it be that the successor of the 5 Thunder Supreme God has arrived? Which Dao Yu has come to visit the Valley of Beasts? Please show yourself. The refined corpse that the disciple of the Valley of Beasts had turned into was another 50,000-year-old dumpling. Since they could communicate, it was fine to ask for information. Human Junior Cultivator, Wang Daoyuan of the treasured tripod lineage of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, greets Senior. The refined corpse looked at Wang Daoyuan. Treasured tripod lineage of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. When I was still alive, I had some relations with Divine Lord Golden Cauldron of the treasured tripod lineage. Meeting you this time can be considered as meeting a junior. After I turned into a refined corpse, I am not very sensitive to the passage of time. How many years have passed? Divine Lord Golden Cauldron was indeed one of the ancestors of the treasured tripod lineage. He was a figure from more than 50,000 years ago. Senior, it has been more than 50,000 years since Ancestor Golden Cauldron passed away. Chapter 863. Before he finished speaking, the refined corpse suddenly exploded and charged at Wang Daoyuan. He quickly turned into a silver light and dodged the refined corpse's attack. Senior, why did you sneak attack me? The refined corpse snorted. I am close friends with the Golden Cauldron's spiritual master. I know the treasured cauldron's legacy. Even if there were changes in the past tens of thousands of years, the roots are still the same. There are always similarities. And your aura has nothing to do with the treasured cauldron's spiritual master. How dare you lie to me? Your sword technique should be the Tai Sword Sect's Silver Light Escape. The Tai Sword Sect is also a top force and has no grudges with the Valley of Beasts. If you came as a disciple of the Tai Sword Sect, the Valley of Beasts would have treated you well. But you lied to me. You must be up to no good. Judging from his judgment and attack speed, this refined corpse's ability was not weak. Senior, you misunderstand. My master, the Thunder Flame Spiritual Master, is the leader of the Treasured Cauldron's Spiritual Master. Because he has the Purple Thunder Divine Flame Battle Body, and I am a Penta Spiritual Root Cultivator. Our techniques are not compatible. And I already have a suitable technique of all 5 elements. He only took me in as a disciple in name. His disciple is my younger brother, who also has the Purple Thunder Divine Flame Battle Body. Plus, the legacy doesn't mean anything. After he finished speaking, his left hand turned into a dragon claw. He smiled and said, Senior, what do you think of my true dragon physical conditioning technique? A smile appeared on the refined corpse's stiff face. Although you have only cultivated a part of the true dragon physical conditioning technique, it is indeed the legacy of the Valley of Beasts. Could it be that there are still branches of the Valley of Beasts left in this world? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. 50,000 years ago, the demon beasts wreaked havoc. All the branches of the Valley of Beasts were destroyed. After the 4 major forces quelled the demon race, there were no more forces that used the Valley of Beasts as their banner. There were quite a few forces that learned a little bit of the Valley of Beasts' legacy. These forces' legacies are very ordinary, and there are only a few that exist. For example, the Thousand Spirits sect focuses on beast taming. I also once obtained the beast taming inheritance of the Thousand Spirits sect, which is exactly the same as the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. It was just that the Thousand Spirits sect's cultivation method was not very good. Their inheritance should have been an incomplete copy of the Valley of Beasts. In addition, there was also the royal family of the Zhou nation who possessed the Phoenix bloodline. I heard that it has something to do with the Valley of the Beasts. The core technique is the Phoenix Nirvana technique. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Valley of the Beasts? Hearing this, refined corpse nodded. The Phoenix Nirvana technique is one of the core inheritances of the Valley of Beasts. The ancestors of the Zhou family should be from the Vermilion Bird Hall in the Valley of Beasts. To be able to preserve the core inheritance means that the Valley of Beasts is still alive. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan finally found a way to get close to him. In that case, we can be considered a family. My Dao companion is from a branch family of the Zhou clan. My son has even awakened the Vermilion Bird bloodline. The cultivation technique he cultivates is also derived from the Phoenix Nirvana technique. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan thought of Long Yuntian's request. If not for Long Yuntian, his master would not have been able to form his nascent soul. He was afraid that during the last demon riot, the human race would have been wiped out. He took out a golden book and a token. Senior, may I ask if you are an elder or a sect leader of the Valley of Beasts? Refined corpse nodded. I am indeed an elder of the Valley of Beasts. Back then, I was also a soul formation cultivator. In order to resist the demon beasts, I turned into a refined corpse. Wang Daoyuan passed the golden book and token to him. In that case, I have completed my task. I met Long Yintian at the Purple Gold River branch. In order to resist the demon beasts, he refined himself into a living corpse. When I met him, his soul had already dissipated. Only a wisp of his will was left. This golden book contains the whole story of the invasion of the Purple Gold River branch. Before he died, he asked me to pass it to the elders or sect leaders of the Valley of Beasts. In addition, he asked me to pass on a few words to you. He said, I, Long Yintian, have guarded the Purple Gold River branch and have never lost. I, Long Yintian, have not let down the sect leader. When Refined Corpse heard this, he actually let out a few cries. Unfortunately, there were no tears. Junior brother Yintian was extremely talented. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the soul formation realm. At that time, the sect leader had already planned to transfer him back to the sect, help him break through to the soul formation realm, and pass on the position of sect leader to him. Unfortunately, he met with great chaos. Such a genius actually fell just like that. How is he now? Wang Daoyuan did not hide anything. More than 100 years ago, I went to the Purple Gold River to look for opportunities and found the Purple Gold River branch. I fought with Senior Long Yintian and defeated him. Senior Long Yintian knew that he could not escape death, so he asked me to pass these things to the sect leader or elders of the Valley of Beasts. He also asked me to scatter his ashes in the Purple Gold River. He wanted to follow the river back to the sect of the Valley of Beasts. Hearing this, Refined Corpse's face revealed anger. He wanted to attack, but he did not. After a long time, he sighed. Forget it. Junior brother Yintian entrusted these things to you. It can be considered that he was sincerely convinced by you. His soul is no longer there, only a trace of obsession left. You killed him and helped him to be free. Rather than living like a ghost, it would be better to die and be done with it. I won't say much about this matter. I just want to ask, how are the demon beasts outside now? Wang Daoyuan replied, what happened 50,000 years ago did not affect the west of the Heavenly/Mountain Range much. It's just that the branches in the Valley of Beasts are gone. More than 10,000 years ago, the Heavenly/Mountain Range degenerated into a peak Tier 4 spirit vein. The human race no longer had Yuanian cultivators and was also suppressed by the demon race. Before the spiritual energy density recovered, the Tier 5 demon race that was sleeping back then woke up again. I also killed a few. Previously, I even killed a peak Tier 5 demon king. The remaining 2 demon kings came to the human race to ask for peace. We were not confident of winning, so we agreed first. The human race's cultivation speed is fast. In a few hundred years, we will be able to suppress the demon race. Now, the Yen Kingdom that I founded has replaced the Valley of Beasts and is guarding the Heavenly/Mountain Range and the East Sea demon race for the human race. By the way, Senior, the demon race has been suppressed by the human race for 10,000 years. The Valley of Beasts should be much stronger than the Divine Weapon Pavilion and other forces. How was it destroyed by the demon race? This was not a compliment. The inheritance and scale of the Valley of Beasts were indeed above the other 4 top forces. Refined Corpse nodded. You are young. Without a Tier 5 spirit vein, it is already a miracle that you can cultivate to the late Yuaniing stage and take down peak Tier 5 demon beasts. Guarding the Heavenly/Mountain Range for the human race and also obtain part of the Valley of Beasts inheritance. You can be considered the successor of the Valley of Beasts. These things are nothing. There's no harm in telling you. More than 50,000 years ago, there were no Mahayana cultivators in Beiyuan Shoshin. The concentration of spirit chi had also dropped to the peak of Tier 6. In the depths of the Heavenly/Mountain Range, an evil dragon obtained some kind of opportunity and passed the heavenly tribulation of dragon transformation. At the same time, its cultivation broke through to Tier 7. With its strength, the human race in Beiyuan was in danger of being exterminated. The responsibility of the Valley of Beasts is to guard the heavenly/mountain range and the East Sea and suppress the demon race. Naturally, we could not stand by and watch such a thing happen. The sect master led most of the experts in the sect and wanted to kill it before its cultivation stabilized. The sect master also found the evil dragon. After a great battle, the evil dragon escaped with injuries and went into hiding. A few hundred years later, the evil dragon led a large number of demon beasts to besiege the Valley of Beasts. The azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise halls guarding the mountain gate were all lost. They had no choice but to retreat to the mountain gate. I was the black tortoise hall master at that time. 80% of my disciples died in battle and the defensive array was completely broken. I only brought the participating disciples and the inheritance of the black tortoise hall back to the mountain gate. The evil dragon did not give up. It led many demon beasts to attack the mountain gate of the Valley of Beasts. At that time, the sect master and the elders used a secret technique to kill this demon. They activated the peak tier 7 Dharma artifact guarding the mountain gate and killed the evil dragon. The sect master and the other elders have all passed away. Wang Daoyuan landed on the ground and bowed. I can be considered the leader of the human race today. On behalf of the human race in Beiyuan, I thank the ancestors of the Valley of Beasts for protecting the human race. Chapter 864. The refined corpse waved his hand and said, "The Valley of Beasts was once the leader of the human race. It's only right that we protect the human race." After we killed the evil dragon, the demon beasts he brought turned the entire Valley of Beasts into ruins. The sect master and the elders passed away. The spirit beasts they left behind were influenced by the demons and betrayed the Valley of Beasts. The disciples of the Valley of Beasts were all slaughtered. The remaining cultivators turned into refined corpses to suppress the demons. With the help of a grade 7 magic weapon, we were able to kill all the demons. Now, we're the only ones left in the Valley of Beasts. At this moment, another 3 refined corpses suddenly appeared. It was unknown whether they were friend or foe. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly used Silverlight Escape to distance himself. The advantage of Silverlight Escape was its extreme speed. It was most suitable for instant use to avoid sneak attacks. The escape techniques Wang Daoyuan had mastered before were not as fast as Silverlight Escape in terms of speed. Of course, its flaws were also obvious. The Silverlight Escape's endurance was too poor. It could only travel a few dozen miles in an instant. With the cultivation of a Yuanian cultivator, flying a few thousand miles with other escape techniques was not a problem. One of the refined corpses, who was thin and had a long sword on his back, said, "You're using Tai Sword Sect Silverlight Escape. You've comprehended the Tai Sword Diagram's origin restoration sword intent. None of those idiots from Tai Sword Sect could comprehend this sword intent. Looks like you're not from Tai Sword Sect." Wang Daoyuan was stunned. Even the people from Tai Sword Sect did not know about the origin restoration sword intent. How did this guy know? "Senior, how do you know the name of my sword intent?" The refined corpse smiled and said, "One of the ancestors of the Valley of Beasts, Supreme Divinity Jade Dragon, was a good friend of Sword Immortal Guiyuan. There's a origin restoration sword diagram left behind by Sword Immortal Guiyuan in the Valley of Beasts. I was the head of White Tiger Hall when I was alive. White Tiger Hall is mainly sword cultivators. The origin restoration sword diagram is under my care. This sword intent can hide from others, but not me. Unfortunately, there is only one Guiyuan sword illustration. The disciples of the Valley of Beasts are unable to comprehend the Guiyuan sword essence in it." Wang Daoyuan generously admitted, "I obtained some fragmented books on comprehending the Guiyuan sword intent, and then I went to study the painting of the Tai Sword Sect. 100 years ago, when the demon race was in turmoil, I was lucky enough to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent. The only place where the demons can still cause trouble is Heavenly Devil Valley. That place is closer to the place where Sword Immortal Guiyuan passed away." You were able to comprehend the Gui Yuan's sword intent there probably because of the help of Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's relics. Back then, Gui Yuan's Sword Immortal severed Ancestral Dragon Mountain with a single strike. The severed dragon tail was the current heaven/mountain range, and the heaven-decimating abyss was formed as a result. This sword strike had slain all of the Earth Immortal Realm experts of the Devil race. Sword Immortal Gui Yuan had also reached the end of his life, passing away in a seated posture within the decimating heaven abyss. The might of Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's legacy was too great. It could destroy the Qianyuan world. The ancient powers destroyed most of Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's legacy. Along with it, a large number of ancient secrets were also destroyed. My Valley of Beasts has divine Jade Dragon's protection, so many ancient secrets have been preserved. However, they cannot be casually spread. Since you were able to comprehend the Gui Yuan's sword intent, you might be the only successor of Sword Immortal Gui Yuan. My Valley of Beasts will naturally treat you with respect. The Black Tortoise Hall Master interrupted. Old Ghost Vermilion Bird, this junior said that there is a faction that seems to have been established by a Vermilion Bird Hall disciple. Does your Vermilion Bird Hall have a disciple with the surname Zhou with the Phoenix bloodline? The Vermilion Bird Hall Master pondered for a long time. Back then, a few halls near the southern wasteland were attacked. My Vermilion Bird Hall sent some disciples to reinforce them. Among them, there was a disciple named Zhou Tianping with the Phoenix bloodline. He was the grand disciple of the sect master, Divine Golden Rock. His talent wasn't too good, so he wasn't valued. It was only because his purple mansion phenomenon was the Golden Rock that the Divine Golden Rock taught him a few moves of the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. Although he wasn't ranked, he was indeed a direct disciple of our Valley of Beasts. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan hurriedly said, I'm the son-in-law of the Zhou family. I learned a few moves of the Golden Rock Fighting Dragon technique from the Zhou family. With that, his body transformed into a silver rock. Seeing the silver rock, the four refined corpses revealed mixed expressions of joy and sorrow. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master nodded. I didn't expect to see the Golden Rock Fighting Dragon technique after so many years. It seems that my Valley of Beasts still has some descendants. At this moment, the black-haired refined corpse spoke. I'm the Hall Master of the Azure Dragon Hall. You have a dense dragon aura on you. Have you cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique of the Valley of Beasts? I have indeed cultivated it. The technique I'm currently cultivating is based on the 5 elements technique, combined with the Gui Yuan Sword Immortal's legacy and the true dragon physical conditioning technique. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master had a trace of doubt on his face. You have a strand of red hair that exudes an extremely pure Vermilion Bird aura. You should have the Vermilion Bird bloodline. Logically speaking, you should have the Vermilion Bird avatar. Since you've cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique, you should have the dragon avatar. You're also a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots. Could it be that you have the 5 elements divine beast avatar? Wang Daoyuan didn't hide anything. When I first opened my purple palace avatar was the 5 elements divine beast avatar. The 4 hall masters looked at each other and the Black Tortoise Hall Master said, the 5 elements divine beast avatar is extremely rare in the Valley of Beasts' tens of thousands of years of history. You're qualified to inherit our Valley of Beasts' legacy. You took the risk to enter the Mirage Fog Sea for the legacy. However, we can't hand over the Valley of Beasts' legacy so easily. If you can't satisfy us, you can forget about obtaining the legacy even if you kill all of us. The Valley of Beasts had many backup plans. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to barge in. Senior, please state your conditions. The Black Tortoise Hall Master continued, firstly, bring the descendants of Zhou Tianping over. After all, they're the last descendants of the Valley of Beasts. We want to see the descendants of the Zhou family. It's best if you bring your son over too. The Vermilion Bird bloodline is extremely rare. Even when the Valley of Beasts was at its peak, if the concentration of the bloodline was high, he was qualified to be the Vermilion Bird Hall Master. If he could awaken the Nanmingli fire, he would be a candidate for the sect master. It would be extremely beneficial for him to be guided by the Vermilion Bird Old Ghost. Secondly, let us see your purple palace avatar. You said it's the 5 elements divine beast avatar. You have to let us see it. Wang Daoyuan was in a difficult position. It's not a problem to bring my son and the Zhou family over. However, the 5 elements divine beast avatar is troublesome. When I formed my nascent soul, the 5 elements divine beast avatar transformed and formed Yinglong. Although it still has the 5 elements divine beast's abilities, it can't be separated. The 4 Hall Masters' expressions changed drastically. The Azure Dragon Hall Master exclaimed, Yinglong's avatar is a mythical beast of primordial legends. It's the only one in the entire Qinyuan world. Generations of ancestors in the Valley of Beasts have only heard of it but never seen it. Quickly release it. With Yinglong's avatar, who cares about the 5 elements divine beast? Wang Daoyuan summoned Yinglong and let it circle in front of the 4 of them. The 4 of them sensed the power within and remained silent for a long time. After a while, the Azure Dragon Hall Master said, although we have never seen Yinglong before, its power far surpasses the 5 elements divine beasts. Its appearance is similar to the legends. The 5 elements divine beast is already the top among the divine beasts. To be able to surpass them, it should be the legendary Yinglong. Junior, do you know the legend of Yinglong? Wang Daoyuan answered, I only know that Yinglong is one of the strongest beasts in the primordial era. The 5 elements divine beast are his descendants. I don't know anything else. The Azure Dragon Hall Master stroked his long beard stiffly. After all, it's a primordial legend. Only a few words have been passed down. Only one Yinglong has appeared in the Qinyuan world. It was formed by the ancestral Dragon Mountain's dragon vein. Yinglong is the ancestor of the dragon race. The ancestral Dragon Mountain got its name because it gave birth to Yinglong. It's powerful and can be called one of the strongest in the primordial era. The full name of the winged dragon should be the Dragon of Fortune. It was a symbol of the fortune of heaven and earth. Since you can awaken Yinglong's avatar, your providence must be extremely high. By the way, you should have interacted with those people from the Archaic Mysteries sect. Have they seen your providence? Chapter 865. Wang Daoyuan only knew that Yinglong had obtained the 5 elements qi of heaven and earth and was extremely powerful. There were only a handful of primordial mutated beasts that could be compared to him. He didn't expect Yinglong to have something to do with providence. It was even nurtured by ancestral Dragon Mountain's dragon vein. His predecessor, Ling Zhu, was also the result of countless years of nurturing by ancestral Dragon Mountain. If that was the case, he and Yinglong were blood brothers. It wasn't surprising that he had Yinglong's phenomenon. Wang Daoyuan nodded. I was seen by the Archaic Mysteries sect cultivators in the early years. They were Yuanying. After I broke through to the Purple Palace realm, the Archaic Mysteries sect cultivators saw it again and were very shocked. Ever since I broke through to the Golden Core realm, they didn't dare to look. The Vermilion Bird Division Master smiled and said, these juniors of the Archaic Mysteries sect are smarter than their ancestors. They know when to look at someone's providence. With the Dragon of Destiny, the providence on one's body has reached an extremely terrifying level. If they casually looked at your providence, it would be guessing the heavenly secrets. They would probably be punished by the heavens. The higher your cultivation level, the stronger your providence. You really do seem like a son of destiny. Yinglong's phenomenon is even more extraordinary. In the legends of the primordial era, there have been many sons of destiny. However, I've never heard of any son of destiny that has anything to do with Yinglong. Wang Daoyuan was somewhat puzzled. He had never heard of the son of destiny. Seeing his puzzled look, the Azure Dragon Division Master explained, every time a son of destiny appears, it means that the world is about to suffer a calamity. The son of destiny is nurtured by the world to deal with the calamity. Furthermore, there is more than one son of destiny every time. These sons of destiny kill each other to vie for providence and opportunities. The final victor will have the entire Qianyuan realm's providence on him. The previous son of destiny was Sword Immortal Guiyuan. He was an itinerant cultivator and his talent in the Tao of the sword could be said to be terrifying. He had never joined any sect or received any guidance from any senior expert. He had comprehended his own Tao with just some shallow sword cultivation heritage. The self-created Beiyuan sword intent is also unique among sword cultivators. In that case, there really were quite a few people who were like the Son of Destiny. He didn't know much about the Sea of Seven Stars. Swordless Spiritual Master and Xian Jiuxiao were in Beiyuan. The swordless sage's talent in the Tao of the sword could be said to be terrifying. Even he would find it difficult to surpass him in terms of Tao comprehension. Xian Jiuxiao had the stellar battle physique and his purple palace anomaly was the yin-yang compass. This talent was similar to the celestial arcanum sect's founder, the yin-yang divinity. The yin-yang deity was a figure from more than 100,000 years ago. According to the yin-yang compass artifact spirit, he was still alive. After living for more than 100,000 years, there was an 80% chance that he had ascended. Taoist Master Xian Tian could have said, "My son Jiu Shao has the bearing of an earth immortal." Wang Daoyuan wanted to continue to fish for more information, but the Black Tortoise Hall Master smiled and said, "Junior, you are quite clever, but don't probe any further. Talking about such things is divulging heavenly secrets. You will easily be struck by lightning." He took out a white jade token and said, "This is the entrance token of the Valley of Beasts headquarters. With the token, you can sense the location of the Myriad Beast Island in the Mirage Fog Sea. Bring the Zhou family over as soon as possible and let us see the successor." Wang Daoyuan took the token and cupped his hands at the four hall masters. "Seniors, please wait for a few days. I will go back and invite the Zhou nation's Grand Emperor here." The Vermilion Bird Hall Master even shouted, "Bring your son here too. I also had the Vermilion Bird anomaly back then. I can give him some pointers. Perhaps he can awaken the minor divine ability of the Nanmingli fire." With the same Vermilion Bird anomaly and a special physique, it was possible to awaken different minor divine abilities. It could be the Nanmingli fire, or it could be an ordinary fire-controlling divine ability. It could also be something like the Inferno space. Wang Daoyuan's Vermilion Bird anomaly did not awaken the Nanmingli fire. It was just that the divine abilities of the five elements divine beast anomaly fused and became a domain-type divine ability. He naturally hoped that Wang Mingchen could awaken the Nanmingli fire. This was one of the best divine fires in the entire Qianyuan realm. The only ones that could compare to it were the true sun fire and the legendary 9 nether samsara flame that existed in the cycle of reincarnation. Fire-controlling divine abilities and inferno space were incomparable to the Nanmingli fire. "Senior, don't worry. I will definitely bring Mingchen over. Goodbye." With that said, he boarded a superior grade Tier 5 flying boat and headed west. It took him an entire day to reach the westernmost end of the Purple Gold River Valley. He did not go into the underground cave again. Instead, he put away the flying boat and passed through the astral wind layer. Soon, he returned to the vicinity of Mount Serene. As soon as he returned, he saw Yun Yi and Wang Minglong sneaking around the source of the Nether King River. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the two fellows were secretly eating the spirit herb seeds he had planted. He condensed 2 water balls and smashed them on their heads. "I have urgent matters to attend to. I will deal with the two of you later." The two fellows were given a fright and hurriedly dove into the water to hide. The flying boat took a little more than a day to arrive at the capital of Zhou country. Zhou Jingyuan and Lord Linjiang came out to welcome him. Wang Daoyuan said directly, "Skip the formalities. I have urgent matters to discuss with Uncle Feng Yi. Quickly lead me there." Seeing that he was in a hurry, Zhou Jingyuan hurriedly led him into the imperial palace. Soon, they arrived at an underground secret chamber. Taoist Master Feng Yi was waiting here. "What brings you here?" Wang Daoyuan did not answer. Instead, he asked, "Uncle Feng Yi, may I ask if the Zhou family's patriarch is Zhou Tianpeng, a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall in the Valley of Beasts?" Taoist Master Feng Yi was stunned. Only the Zhou emperors and their successors know about this. Even the four major factions only know that my Zhou family is related to the Valley of Beasts, but they don't know the details. How do you know such a secret? Wang Daoyuan replied, the Vermilion Bird Hall Master in the Valley of Beasts said so. I went to investigate the Valley of Beasts and met the Vermilion Bird Hall Master. When I was trying to get close to him, I mentioned the Zhou family. Now, they want to verify if the Zhou family is the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Since it is, then bring the belongings of the Zhou family's patriarch and follow me to the Valley of Beasts. There will be many benefits for you. Hearing this, Daoist Master Feng Yi's face was filled with confusion, but he did not ask further. Wait for me for a while, I'll go find the ancestral relics. With that, he left the underground secret chamber. 15 minutes later, Daoist Master Feng Yi returned. I've already brought the relics of my Zhou family's first-generation ancestor. Is there anything else you need? Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, there's no need for anything else. Let's not waste time and go over as soon as possible. The two of them took a flying boat to Qingli City and brought Wang Mingshan along. Then, from the 10,000 Rivers River Valley, they went out to the ocean and headed north. With the token, they were not afraid of getting lost on the Thousand Beasts Island. After flying north for more than a day, they arrived at the Thousand Beasts Island again. The four hall masters were already waiting at the southernmost point of the Thousand Beasts Island. The flying boat landed and the Vermilion Bird Hall Master quickly said, I didn't expect you to come so quickly. It's only been 5 days and you've already made a round trip. Then, he looked at Daoist Master Feng Yi. You must be the descendant of Tian Peng. Have you brought his relics? Daoist Master Feng Yi cupped his hands and said, Greetings, Hall Master. Greetings, Hall Master. With that, he took out a token, a long sword and a long robe. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master took these items and examined them carefully. After a long silence, he said, These are indeed Tian Peng's belongings. When he left the Vermilion Bird Hall, he was wearing these clothes. Good. The incense of my Valley of Beasts has not been cut off. Daoist Master Feng Yi quickly said, My Zhou family has 2 ancestral temples. One is for the ancestors and the other is for the ancestors of the Valley of Beasts. The Zhou emperors have never forgotten that they are disciples of the Valley of Beasts. The 4 hall masters made a gesture of wiping their tears. Unfortunately, there were no tears. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master nodded with satisfaction. This little guy is Wang Mingshan. His Vermilion Bird bloodline is even higher than mine back then. It's a pity that I was unable to awaken the Nanmingli fire. My Valley of Beasts has put in a lot of effort into the divine ability and Purple Mansion phenomenon. There's still a high chance of helping you awaken the lesser Nanmingli fire. Chapter 866. Wang Mingshan couldn't help but feel a little scared when he saw 4 mid-grade 5th-grade corpses that were said to have once been soul formation cultivators. However, he still suppressed his fear and took a few steps forward. He bowed and said, Thank you for your guidance. The 4 hall masters were very satisfied with his etiquette. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master nodded. Not bad, you have guts. Cultivators aren't afraid of having poor talent. Heaven will always leave a way out. Even the worst talent has a chance of survival. What we fear the most is a lack of courage. Cultivation is about seizing the fortune of heaven and earth and invading the mysteries of the sun and moon. If you don't even have the courage to fight for your life, no matter how good your talent is, it will be difficult for you to achieve great things. But don't worry, even if the 4 of us set up a joint attack formation, we won't be a match for your father. Moreover, we have a favor to ask of your father. We can't wait to please you, why would we hurt you? Dao Yuan, we have a favor to ask of you. Please allow it. Wang Mingshan had been a little silly and bold since he was young. Before he was a year old, he always wanted to go to the Earth Fire Room to play. He had never encountered any great danger since he was young. It was normal that he didn't lack courage. Wang Daoyuan said, Seniors, please speak your mind. There's no need to be so polite. The inheritance of the Valley of Beasts can't be easily given to others. We wanted to take you in as a disciple on behalf of our master and take you in as a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. This way, we won't be giving the inheritance to an outsider. We can also leave some dignity for the Valley of Beasts. But now, we don't dare to take you in. I think this little guy is very talented and has a good temperament. What do you think if I take him in as a disciple? The Vermilion Bird Hall Master, a former soul formation cultivator, should have been enough to take him in as a disciple. However, he had become a refined corpse. After all, his soul was incomplete and his temperament was unstable. There were many cases of cultivators who refine corpses being bitten by them. Wang Daoyuan was really worried that this guy would suddenly explode and hurt Wang Mingchen. Seeing his hesitation, the Black Tortoise Hall Master hurriedly explained, "Daoyuan, I know you're worried that we refined corpses will suddenly go crazy. However, you don't have to worry. Those refined corpses go crazy because their souls are incomplete." In the process of being refined into a corpse, there was also an extremely strong resentment. Once it received a strong stimulus and its owner was unable to suppress it, it was very easy for it to go crazy. People like us are different. Strictly speaking, we are not refined corpses, but ghost cultivators. She only used a secret technique to separate the Yuanying and turned her soul into a ghost cultivator. Then, she hid her soul in an artifact made of soul crystals to conceal the secrets of heaven. In this way, he could not casually use his original strength, or he would be punished by the heavens. Therefore, we refine our bodies into refined corpses and hide the soul crystals in our bodies, borrowing the power of the refined corpses to fight our enemies. In terms of intelligence, we aren't any weaker than deity transformation cultivators. In fact, our spiritual sense cultivation is much higher than yours. The four of us have reached this stage of our own free will, and we don't have any resentment. In terms of temperament, he is not much different from ordinary people. Wang Daoyuan carefully sensed for a moment and indeed did not find the existence of resentment. As such, Wang Daoyuan was slightly relieved. Ghost cultivators were different from refined corpses. Ghost cultivators gave people the impression that they were extremely evil. Although they gave off an evil impression, they were at least a cultivation system permitted by the heavenly Tao. There was a slight chance of cultivating to the earth immortal realm. To the heavenly Tao, there was no difference between ghost immortals and earth immortals. Refined corpses were not tolerated by the heavens because they had almost no intelligence and could only act on instinct. They could not even be considered life and would not encounter heavenly tribulations in the early stages. However, when they cultivated to an extremely high realm, they would be born with an extremely high intelligence. At that time, they would be noticed by the heavenly Tao. The heavenly punishment they suffered was 10 times or 100 times more terrifying than that of a ghost cultivator. They would not stop until they were struck to death. Since there was no problem in terms of safety, it was acceptable. His son had become the disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall Master, so he and the Vermilion Bird Hall Master were of the same generation. The first generation ancestor of the Zhou family, Zhou Tianpeng, was one generation younger than the Vermilion Bird Hall Master. In this way, he had advanced more than 90 generations. In the future, he would discuss with his nephew Zhou Jingyuan about how to address him. The Azure Dragon Hall Master said, "Wind Wings, follow us to the Sect's ancestral hall and pay respects to the ancestors. Tell them personally that our Valley of Beasts has not perished yet. We will close the formation of the ancestral hall and let Mingchen go with us. He will take the Vermilion Bird Hall Master as his master in front of the ancestral hall. What do you think?" Wang Daoyuan nodded in agreement. The Azure Dragon Hall Master took out a jade communication talisman. "I will have them close the formation and prepare." So there were still other refined corpses alive in the Valley of Beasts. This was a bit out of his expectations. He took out a flying boat. Everyone sat on the flying boat and flew towards the mountain gate. After an hour, they arrived at the Valley of Beasts mountain gate. If the Valley of Beasts mountain gate was at the center of the Myriad Beast Island, then the radius of the Myriad Beast Island should be more than 10,000 miles. At this time, the formation had been closed. Another 4 refined corpses in human form walked out and stood guard in front of the ruins. The Azure Dragon Hall Master introduced, they were all elders of the sect in the past. They are in the same situation as the 4 of us. Wang Daoyuan and the other 2 also bowed to these elders. Everyone came to a few buildings in the center of the ruins. These buildings were also the only remnants of the Valley of Beasts mountain gate. The group came to a palace-like building. Looking in from the door, they saw many memorial tablets. This should be the ancestral hall of the Valley of Beasts. The Azure Dragon Hall Master had the highest status. He walked at the front and the other elders followed behind. Venerable Windwing and Wang Mingchen followed at the back and entered the ancestral hall. Wang Daoyuan was not a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. He also did not plan to enter the Valley of Beasts. Therefore, he did not enter the ancestral hall. The Azure Dragon Hall Master knelt in front of the memorial tablet and cupped his hands. In the name of the ancestral hall, the Valley of Beasts faced a disaster in order to slay the evil dragon. Today, the direct disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall, the 97th grandson of the previous sect master, the Golden Rock Divine Monarch Zhou Tianping, Zhou Yifeng, has returned to the Valley of Beasts. For more than 50,000 years, the descendants of the Zhou family have always worshipped the ancestral masters of the Valley of Beasts. The incense of the Valley of Beasts has never stopped. Today, the descendants of the Zhou family have returned to the sect and continue the legacy of the Valley of Beasts. We hope that the ancestral masters of the past will accept us. After saying this, everyone bowed to the memorial tablet. Zhou Yifeng knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times. Disciple Zhou Yifeng greets the ancestral masters of the past. Then, the Vermilion Bird Hall Master stood up and stood in front of Wang Mingchen. He asked, Wang Mingchen, are you willing to take me as your master? Wang Mingchen was still relatively quick-witted. He knelt on the ground. Disciple Wang Mingchen greets master. After saying this, he kowtowed 3 times. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master smiled. Good disciple, quickly rise. Follow me to greet the ancestral masters of the past. After saying this, he brought Wang Mingchen and knelt in front of the ancestral tablets. Today, there is Wang Mingchen, the 99th generation descendant of Zhou Tianping. He possesses the bloodline of the Vermilion Bird and has extraordinary talent. He has awakened the minor ability of Nanmingli Fire and has the hope of reviving the glory of the Valley of Beasts. This disciple has accepted him as a disciple. I hope that the ancestral masters of the past will accept him. Mingchen greets the ancestral masters of the past. Wang Mingchen knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times. Disciple Wang Mingchen greets the ancestral masters of the past. After the ceremony, Wang Mingchen was officially accepted as a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall Master. The Azure Dragon Hall Master instructed the other elders. All of you, go and take out all the legacies that we have copied in our boredom all these years. Feng Yi, as the descendant of Zhou Tianping, you are also the direct disciple of the previous sect master. You can take away all the legacies of the previous sect master. Zhou Tianping was also a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall back then. You have the qualifications to cultivate all the legacies of the Vermilion Bird Hall. As the disciple of the Vermilion Bird Hall Master, Wang Mingchen has the potential to inherit the position of sect master. As the personal disciple of the Hall Master and the living disciple with the highest status in the Valley of Beasts, you have the right to manage all the legacies of the Valley of Beasts. I will give you a copy of all the legacies of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingchen's talent was the best among the disciples of the Valley of Beasts. In the future, the position of sect master would definitely be his. This was a rather decent method. Handing it over to him was equivalent to handing it over to Wang Daoyuan. Chapter 867. Soon, the 4 elders returned to the entrance of the ancestral hall. Each of them took out an interspatial ring and handed it to the hall master. These interspatial rings were not low in grade. They were all low grade, grade 5. Judging from the quality of the materials, they were definitely not grade 5 materials. The hall master took these rings and used his divine sense to explore them. He picked out a few beast skin books and handed them to Venerable Windwing. This is the inheritance of the previous sect master, Divine Lord Golden Rock. You are the descendant of Zhou Tianpeng and the direct descendant of Divine Lord Golden Rock. Naturally, you have the right to learn these things. Then, he took out a pile of inheritances from another ring and handed them to Venerable Windwing. These are all the inheritances of the Vermilion Bird Hall. Most of these inheritances are related to the Phoenix bloodline. Your Zhou family has the Phoenix bloodline. I think you can carry forward these inheritances. Venerable Windwing took the inheritances and bowed. Thank you, Ancestral Master. The Zhou family will make good use of these inheritances and not lose the prestige of the Valley of Beasts. The Hall Master nodded and handed all 4 interspatial rings to Wang Mingchen. All the inheritances of the Valley of Beasts are here. In the future, if you can awaken the minor Nanming primordial fire, you can come here and inherit all the properties of the Valley of Beasts. Although there are not many living people on the Island of Beasts, there are still many properties left. For example, some secret realms in the sky/mountain range. Even after tens of thousands of years, some secret realms can't be discovered. Wang Mingchen took these rings and handed them to Wang Daoyuan. Father, please keep these things for me. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not refuse and accepted these rings. The Hall Master smiled. Our Valley of Beasts finally has a successor. It is not in vain that we have guarded for tens of thousands of years. Wang Daoyuan asked, what do you plan to do next? Continue to stay here or go to the branch hall? The Hall Master waved his hand. We have guarded here for tens of thousands of years. We don't want to leave anymore. Let's continue to stay here. Moreover, there are rank 5 monsters occupying the easternmost part of the Azure Dragon Hall's territory. Those bastards were quite capable. The fog was actually unable to completely suppress their cultivation. We have to guard this place to prevent them from having designs on the Myriad Beast Island. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't insist. With them guarding this place, they could also prevent the demonic beasts in the sea from getting too big. There were no high-grade spirit veins in the East Sea, and the Heavenly/Mountain Range was also occupied by other demon clans. If the demon clans in the sea rashly went there, it might cause a conflict. To them, the Mirage Fog Sea was an excellent choice. If the demon race were to occupy the Myriad Beast Island, it would be troublesome. With these 8 elders and the remnants of the formation, it would not be a problem to resist the demons. The Vermilion Bird Hall Master said, I have the Vermilion Bird bloodline, and my Purple Palace anomaly is also a Vermilion Bird. Unfortunately, the minor divine ability I awakened in the end was only fire control. However, I have accumulated a lot of experience. Using my experience to guide Mingchen will definitely be of some use. He then took out a beast skin book. This is a technique left behind by one of the patriarchs of the Valley of Beasts, the Lihua Supreme God, the leaf fire burning the heavens technique. Speaking of which, the Zhou family is his distant descendants. Mingchen also has the Lihua Supreme God's bloodline. This patriarch also has the Vermilion Bird bloodline and awakened the Nanming Leaf fire. For someone with the Vermilion Bird bloodline, there is nothing more suitable than the Nanming Leaf fire. My experience is also in here. Mingchen can take a look at it. The fog in the Mirage Fog Sea contains an extremely chaotic power of laws. It will greatly affect the cultivation of cultivators at the Golden Core realm and above. Refined corpses like us don't need to cultivate the power of laws, so it won't affect us. Mingchen is only at the late stage of the Purple Palace realm. It is not time for him to comprehend the power of laws, so it won't affect him much. I want to guide him first and leave after he has mastered the technique. How about it? Wang Daoyuan was not at ease leaving his son here. I can continue to stay here. Uncle Feng Yi has been idle for many years. It is the same wherever he is. I am already at the late stage of the Yuanying realm. It is time for me to make preparations for breaking through to the Soul Formation realm. I can ask the seniors for advice. Then, he took out the Gui Water Death Flame and the surrounding fog was quickly ignited. As for the fog in the Mirage Fog Sea, it couldn't do anything to me when I was at the Golden Core realm, let alone now. When the Black Tortoise Division Master saw the Gui Water Death Flame, he was extremely shocked. Water attribute spirit fire is too rare. Some spirit springs and water spirit veins can nurture water attribute spirit items, but most of them are spirit spring pearls. A small number of them were able to produce special spiritual water, and they also had extremely strong growth potential. As the saying goes, water and fire are incompatible. Water attribute spirit fire is the most difficult to form. The growth rate of special spirit water is incomparable to spirit fire. With this thing, you can completely burn the chaotic power of laws in the fog and not be affected at all. It is not a problem for you to cultivate here for as long as you want. Then, the three of them and the 8 elders discussed Tao in front of the ancestral temple. The Vermilion Bird Division Master guided Wang Mingchen to cultivate the leaf fire burning sky technique. A year later, Wang Mingchen finished cultivating. The Vermilion Bird Division Master asked, "How do you feel?" He cupped his hands and replied, "This technique is indeed more suitable for me. When I cultivate, I feel that my blood and qi are rapidly increasing. I don't need to specially comprehend the Vermilion Bird Divine Charm, it will quickly become stronger." The Vermilion Bird Division Master stroked his beard and laughed. "Your Vermilion Bird bloodline is very concentrated. It is very easy to comprehend the Vermilion Bird Divine Charm. The bloodline is the foundation. The rapid increase of blood and qi is the result of the technique and bloodline. At this point, as long as you continue to cultivate step by step, it will be enough. I have nothing else to teach you. After staying here for a year, there are probably a lot of affairs in the Yen Kingdom. You will inherit the position of sect master in the future. You must have the ability to govern. Go back early." Wang Daoyuan took out 2 sword puppets from the space of the spirit pearl. "Mingchen and Uncle Feng Yi, you go to the south and wait. I have something to discuss with the seniors." Wang Mingchen bid farewell to the elders and followed Daoist Master Feng Yi and the 2 sword puppets to the south. When they were far away, the Vermilion Bird Division Master laughed. "Your puppets are not simple. My Valley of Beasts also has a shallow inheritance of puppets. However, there are too few soul crystals to refine high-level puppets. The ancestors of the past did not work in this area. They could only refine some low-level puppets to take care of the spirit fields." Wang Daoyuan laughed. "Before, I went out to sea to look for opportunities in other immortal cultivation worlds. There, I obtained the inheritance of puppets. Let's not talk about this for now. You said you have something to ask of me. Shouldn't you reveal it now?" The 8 elders looked at each other. In the end, the Azure Dragon Division Master said, "Let me say it. Simply put, us old fellows want to borrow your power to revitalize the Valley of Beasts. Your luck is excellent. In this declining Beiyuan Shuxian, you were able to find the rarely seen Gui Water Death Flame. His identity as the Son of Fortune was almost confirmed. However, any Son of Fortune would definitely be involved in a war of providence, competing with other Sons of Fortune for providence. Most of these Sons of Fortune have their own factions. In addition, there are some who want to curry favor with others. The factions behind them are very powerful. Even Sword Immortal Guiyuan, who was an itinerant cultivator, had the support of Xinglian School and many other sects and mighty figures. If you are alone, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to survive. Not only will the successful person's providence increase, but even the factions that follow him will also receive great benefits. Mingchen and the Zhou family are deeply involved with you. It is impossible for us to stay out of this. The Valley of Beasts has already reached this stage. There is nothing left to lose. Even if you fail, it is no big deal. However, if you succeed, the Valley of Beasts will become the top faction in the entire Qinyuan world. People like us will also receive great providence. When the time comes, we will be able to leave this corpse refinement body and cultivate to become ghost immortals. With such great benefits, us old fellows will risk our lives to help you. Chapter 868. Wang Daoyuan was a little dumbfounded after learning about the War of Providence. Originally, he only wanted to cultivate to the earth immortal realm and live a carefree life, but he didn't expect that there would be a life and death battle waiting for him. No wonder the four top forces didn't suppress him after he showed his talent. Especially the archaic mysteries sect, Xian Zhouxiao came from hundreds of thousands of miles away to give him a gift during his Golden Core ceremony. After all, they were a force that had been passed down since ancient times. Even if they didn't keep many ancient secrets, they should still know some things. It seemed that they had long suspected that he was the son of Providence. Even if he didn't want to get involved in this matter, at least he couldn't become enemies with the son of Providence. Seeing that he was in deep thought, the Azure Dragon Division leader smiled and said, "You don't have to be too worried. Since the heavens have given you Providence, they naturally won't let you die in vain. The heavenly Tao values balance the most. Although Beiyuan has declined greatly, it should still produce a son of Providence. Now that the spirit chi of the heavenly/mountain range has recovered, it might be the heavenly Tao increasing the strength of the son of Providence. When the War of Providence really erupts, every son of Providence will at least have the strength of a powerhouse. You're still far from it now, which means that there's still a long time before the tribulation comes. Our Valley of Beasts doesn't owe you anything. If we force you to join the Valley of Beasts, I'm afraid you'll suffer from the backlash of Providence. We can only take a step back and take Mingchen as a disciple. You don't have to worry now. There's still a long time, so you have plenty of time to make a decision." Wang Daoyuan thought for a long time before saying, "I really can't make a decision now. After all, the strength in my hands is still too weak. In Beiyuan Shouxian, it can still be a top force, but it can't be compared to the cultivation world I went to before. There were several mighty figure inheritances in the North Abyss's small territory. Not to mention the great world south of Heaven and Abyss, there might be many Earth immortal inheritances. I can only say that we should improve our strength as soon as possible. As for the future, we'll talk about it later." The Azure Dragon Division leader smiled and said, "It's good that you can think like this. We're just reminding you. So when the war comes in the future, you'll be fighting alone. The War of Providence was a battle of life and death. Once defeated, death was certain. The subordinate forces can pledge allegiance to the victor again, but your direct forces will definitely suffer a heavy blow. To be able to leave behind your legacy, it will all depend on your opponent's conscience." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "I know what to do. I'll make the necessary arrangements in advance. Now, I want to ask you some questions. There are many things that I can't ask others, or others don't know. My family wants to develop the Valley of Beasts of the Purple Gold River, but that place is shrouded in fog, and we can't pass the tribulation yet. Is this the Valley of Beasts' backup plan?" The White Tiger Hall chief replied, "To develop the Purple Gold River Valley, you want to cross the sky/mountain range from the westernmost karst cave of the valley, right? The Zijin River Branch Hall used to be under the jurisdiction of the White Tiger Hall. I was even the hall master of the Zijin River Branch Hall. I know the situation over there." The reason why he couldn't transcend the tribulation was because there were 2 thunder attribute magic artifacts buried deep in the valley of the Zijin River. Back then, they were all low-grade 7th-tier beasts that could attract the lightning of the 9 heavens. When transcending the tribulation, the heavenly tribulation and magic artifacts would work together. Cultivators who had just formed their gold cores wouldn't be able to withstand it. At first, the Zijin River Valley was occupied by demonic beasts. During the expansion of the Valley of Beasts, many battles broke out between us and those demonic beasts. Later on, in order to prevent the demonic beasts from coming back, we buried these 2 magic artifacts. Otherwise, Junior Marshal Brother Yuntian wouldn't have been able to protect the Zijin River Valley. As for the fog that can cause people to go berserk, it was created by the formation. Back then, in order to hide the location of the sect, the founder of the Valley of Beasts killed a peak 7th-tier sea serpent and used its entire body to set up a great formation. True dragons and spirit veins are inextricably linked and can easily merge into one. Back then, the sea serpent merged into the spirit vein of the myriad beasts island. The scale of this spirit vein wasn't small, causing the entire sea of sea serpent fog to be shrouded in fog. The disciples of the Valley of Beasts naturally have methods to avoid the interference of the sea serpent fog, so we aren't afraid of it. Most of the fog in the Zijin River Valley comes from here. Unless we set up a formation at the mouth of the river to block the fog, we won't be able to solve it. Wang Daoyuan was shocked. The Valley of Beasts was indeed the owner of the sky-chopping mountain range. They had such a thorough understanding of it. Even a small karst cave had been thoroughly explored by them. It was enough for him to know about the Zijin River Valley. He didn't plan to solve the problem of the fog and lightning tribulations now. He continued to ask, west of the clear glass river, the secret realm under the hollow willow, was it opened up by the Valley of Beasts? That secret realm is now my family's territory. I have to get to the bottom of it, in case there are any tricks inside. The Blue Dragon Hall Master answered, the secret realm over there is indeed the work of the Valley of Beasts Supreme God Greenwood. He didn't leave anything behind. A lot of effort was put into that secret realm. Back then, in order to build the secret realm, a large amount of dark space stone was used. He also borrowed the power of the Hollow Willow's law to stabilize the space. As the Hollow Willow's grade increases, the grade of the spirit veins in the secret realm will also increase, and the space will also continue to expand. You have to protect that willow well. Once the willow dies, the space will become unstable. If you want to continue maintaining the secret realm, you have to keep throwing in dark space stones. Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of life spiritual fire. That willow is still living well, but its grade has always been mediocre. I also fused a life spiritual fire into it previously to increase its vitality. Now, the willow is already a tier 1 low-grade spirit plant, and it's living better than before. That's right, there's a secret realm about 1,500 kilometers east of the big willow tree. The core of the secret realm is a peach tree, and this life spiritual fire was obtained from that peach tree. I don't know what kind of peach tree it is. That secret realm should also be in the Valley of Beasts, right? The Blue Dragon Hall Master smiled and said, what a coincidence. That secret realm is a natural secret realm that was modified by human hands. The one who modified that secret realm was also Supreme God Greenwood. This ancestral master's hobby is to modify secret realms, and there are many secret realms that have been modified by him. That secret realm used to be a lava secret realm, and its core was a tier 7 scarlet flame divine metal. Back then, the secret realm was about to run out of oil, so ancestral Master Greenwood planted a spirit peach tree in it to replace the scarlet flame divine metal. That secret realm became a dual elemental earth and wood. Later, the earth element decreased, and slowly, it became a pure wood elemental secret realm. As for the scarlet flame divine metal, it was eventually used by Supreme Godly Fire to forge his intrinsic magic artifact. You said that the tree has a life spiritual fire. What's going on? Is the tree dying? Wang Daoyuan nodded and told him about True Monarch 100 Spirit and his exploration of the secret realm. He only hid the matter of the peach tree sapling. The Blue Dragon Hall Master sighed. It's a pity. That peach tree is a true treasure. It contains extremely rich vitality, or else it wouldn't be able to nurture a life spiritual fire. It's said that ancestral Master Greenwood found it in the depths of the East Sea, and he named it Mystic Sky Emerald Spirit Peach. That thing needs to grow to tier 6 low grade before it can bear fruit, and the fruit it bears is a tier 6 spirit fruit. The Mystic Sky Emerald Spirit Peach's greatest use is healing. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a sacred healing item. Back then, when I had just broken through to the Soul Formation realm, I was heavily injured while suppressing demon beasts in the Blue Dragon Hall. My limbs were crippled, and my primordial spirit was severely damaged. At that time, the sect master saw that I had made a great contribution, so he rewarded me with a Mystic Sky Emerald Spirit Peach. After eating it, my injuries were completely healed, and my yuanine potential was even greater. In addition, the Mystic Sky Emerald Spirit Peach's core is also a rare spiritual item that can be used to replenish wood spirit roots. If a cultivator doesn't have wood spirit roots, they can refine the core and turn it into a man-made wood spirit root. There are many materials that can be used to refine man-made spirit roots, but I really don't know which one can compare to the core of the peach. The core of the peach is poisonous, but after the poison is removed, it can increase the height of the wood spirit root. Of course, the height of the spirit root can't exceed 1 foot. If it's already 1 foot, eating the core of the peach is useless. It's a pity that most of the fruits produced by the peach tree don't have a core. The few that do have a core are also difficult to cultivate into new fruit trees. Chapter 869. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little excited. He had long known that this peach tree sapling was extraordinary, but he didn't expect it to be so useful. The serious injuries of soul formation cultivators could be completely healed and their potential could also be enhanced. The peach core could be used to refine artificial spirit roots. This was only useful for those cultivators with 4 spirit roots and lacked wood spirit roots. The effect of this peach kernel was even stronger. There was still a gap between artificial spirit roots and natural spirit roots. It could directly increase the height of a wood spirit root, and what was increased was also a natural spirit root. If a cultivator with a wood spirit root ate this peach kernel, they might become a 1-foot heaven spirit root. This was a rare genius. Every increase in spirit root had a huge impact on one's talent. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Are there any more mystic sky jade spirit peach trees in the Valley of Beasts?" The Blue Dragon Hall Master shook his head and said, "There used to be 2 in the Valley of Beasts, but they were destroyed in the Demon Beast riot. However, this thing was also planted in the other mystic realms in the Heavenly/Mountain Range. After Ming Chen forms his core, we will hand over all the mystic realms in the Valley of Beasts. When the time comes, you can go and take a look." Since they were unwilling to say, Wang Daoyuan didn't force them and asked about something else. Back then, the Valley of Beasts was on par with the Divine Weapon Pavilion and a few other forces. Why do I feel that the Valley of Beasts is much stronger than the Divine Weapon Pavilion? The White Tiger Hall Master said proudly, "Of course. It has been more than 200,000 years since the Valley of Beasts was founded. In terms of history, it is much longer than the other forces. Among the generations of ancestors, there were more than 10 Mahayana cultivators. Among them, there were 5 who could be called mighty figures. Although the gap between mid-stage Mahayana cultivators and mighty figures was not big, at the Mahayana stage, it might take thousands of years or even thousands of years to break through. Moreover, becoming a mighty figure was not just about cultivating to the late stage or peak of the Mahayana stage. More than half of one's essence, energy, and spirit had to be converted into immortal power. At the mighty figure realm, one's ability to resist the 3rd decay was already extremely strong. One could also rely on one's own immortal power to withstand it. As long as he could find some phase to assist him, he would be able to continue enduring. Unless the 3rd decay suddenly appeared when the body was seriously injured, it would not be easy for them to pass away. Therefore, as long as a mighty figure continued to endure, there would always be a chance to become an immortal. If an ordinary Grand Ascension stage cultivator wanted to transcend the 3rd blight tribulation, they would have to rely on their foundation. Even if he was lucky enough to survive, he would still suffer severe injuries. It was not easy for a Mahayana cultivator to become a mighty figure, and it was very difficult to condense immortal power. Using immortal energy to fight, the power that can be unleashed is not something that can be compared to spiritual energy. Wang Daoyuan didn't know much about mighty figures, and he thought that they were just names for powerful Mahayana cultivators. The White Tiger Hall head continued, "The other 4 powers are far worse. Only the Tianji sect is slightly better. Back then, the Yin-Yang God was an extremely powerful almighty. After that, the Xian family did produce 2 Grand Ascension stage cultivators, but unfortunately, neither of them were mighty figures. On the Divine Weapon Pavilion side, your Treasure Cauldron lineage's ancestor was only a mid-stage Mahayana cultivator, and he even died from the 3rd decay tribulation. The sect master's lineage has a mighty figure's inheritance, but the Divine Weapon Pavilion's first ancestor was his disciple, and he didn't become a mighty figure himself. The Wind Snow Deity Palace is even worse. Their founder was only a mid-stage Mahayana cultivator, and they didn't even have a mighty figure's inheritance. The worst is the Tai Sword sect. They relied on the Tai Sword diagram drawn by Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's eldest disciple. Their founder was only an early-stage Mahayana cultivator, and they didn't produce another Mahayana cultivator after that. Their foundation is also the worst, and they only have about 70,000 years. In terms of sword cultivation inheritance, the Tai Sword sect was inferior to my White Tiger Hall. However, my Valley of Beasts is rich in knowledge, and I don't have the heart to compete with them. Then, he took out a scroll. This is the origin returning sword diagram left behind by Sword Immortal Gui Yuan when he was still a Mahayana cultivator. This thing can't be copied, so it's useless for me to keep it. Your sword intent is also the origin returning sword intent, so I'll leave this thing to you. Although there was a better origin returning sword diagram, there was no harm in leaving this thing behind. He could place it in his family and let the talented clansmen comprehend it. Wang Daoyuan asked again, when I first came here, I heard the Black Tortoise Hall Master mention the Divine Five Thunder. This mighty figure should be the founder of the Five Elements Divine Thunder. I want to hear about his deeds. The Black Tortoise Hall Master said, the Five Elements Divine Thunder was indeed created by the Divine Five Thunder. He was also a cultivator with 5 spirit roots. After forming his nascent soul, he comprehended the 5 elements Divine Thunder. The 5 elements Divine Thunder is activated by the 5 elements Spirit Force, and its power is comparable to thunder techniques. However, the consumption of Spirit Force is not large. In addition, it's extremely fast. The Divine Five Thunder's fighting strength is extremely strong. In the early stage of Yuanying, he obtained the title of Perfected Lord. He was also an itinerant cultivator and had been traveling north of Mount Huiyan in his early years. Later, he established a sect and founded the Five Thunder sect. Based on the 5 elements Divine Thunder, he deduced the lesser 5 elements lightning art. After he became a mighty figure, he moved the Five Thunder sect to the central part of the Qianyuan realm, which is very far away from us. Back then, he was on good terms with a senior in the Valley of Beasts. The Valley of Beasts also obtained 2 complete lesser 5 elements lightning arts, which are the Earth Divine Thunder and the Fire Divine Thunder. The other 3 thunder arts are not known in the outside world. How did you obtain the Gui Water Divine Thunder? Wang Daoyuan told him about the Zhao family. The Black Tortoise Hall Master suddenly understood. The ancient cultivator that Zhao Wudi found was most likely a disciple of the Five Thunder sect. The lethality of the lesser 5 elements lightning art should be the Wood Divine Thunder and the Metal Divine Thunder. After the Wood Divine Thunder explodes, all living things within its range will have their vitality taken away. It is extremely difficult to defend against. Needless to say, the Metal Divine Thunder will form threads of spirit force after it explodes. Its lethality is not inferior to the flying swords of cultivators of the same level. In addition to the penetrative damage of the metal spirit force, few cultivators of the same level can resist it. The Gui Water Divine Thunder is invisible and can penetrate through defenses. It is impossible to defend against it. Its power is also not bad. It is ranked 3rd. Although the explosive power of the Fire Divine Thunder was strong, it was not much stronger than ordinary fire attribute spells. The Earth Divine Thunder walks the path of sealing, so its lethality is even worse. Our Valley of Beasts is also a power that has produced many powerful people. We do not lack in various inheritances. The ancestors of the past did not attach much importance to these 2 thunder arts, so they did not continue to derive them. Among the inheritances that were given to you, there are 2 complete thunder arts. The other 3 thunder arts are not circulated outside. Therefore, when I saw you use the 5th level Gui Water Divine Thunder, I thought you were the successor of the 5 Thunder Supreme God. To be able to obtain the complete Earth Divine Thunder and Fire Divine Thunder here was already considered good. The power of these 2 thunder arts was weak, but it depended on who was using them. With the Dust Returning Flame and the Scarlet Yang Primordial Fire, their power would definitely not be weak. Moreover, spells weren't static. The 2 thunder arts in the Valley of Beasts were only at the Golden Core late stage. He would have to derive the rest by himself and think of ways to increase their power. It was already impossible to obtain the complete lesser 5 elements thunder art. The Gui Water Divine Thunder, which was ranked 3rd in power, was only discovered by chance after tens of thousands of years. The 5 Thunder sect would only be more cautious about the strongest Gung Metal Divine Thunder and Yi Wood Divine Thunder. The possibility of them being left outside was even smaller. The Valley of Beasts had occupied the sky/mountain range for tens of thousands of years. If they could not find these 2 thunder arts, then it was possible that they really did not have them. Zhao Wudi was lucky enough to find the Gui Water Divine Thunder. However, in these tens of thousands of years, there was only one Zhao Wudi. Based on his own ability, finding these 2 thunder arts was no different from finding a needle in a haystack. He could only go to the south of the Heaven End Abyss, the center of the Qinyuan world. He already knew most of the questions he wanted to know. He could not stay here forever. He cupped his hands and said, "Seniors, I should also take my leave. If I leave for too long, the great demon kings of the sky/mountain range and the extreme frost icy plains might have some ideas." The Vermilion Bird Hall Master smiled and said, "If you have something to do, go ahead. If Mingchen needs anything, feel free to find us. I don't dare to say anything else, but if there are any problems in cultivation, we old things can still help." Chapter 870. After bidding farewell to them, Wang Daoyuan picked up Wang Mingchen and Daoist Windwing and flew south out of the Mirage Fog Sea. Daoist Windwing said emotionally, "I didn't expect the Valley of Beasts to still be around. Daoyuan, thank you so much. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to obtain so many inheritances." Back then, the Valley of Longevity was the leader of the 4 top factions. Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise Halls had inheritances comparable to the 4 top factions. Vermilion Bird Hall was good at refining pills and refining weapons, although their refining skills were not as good as the Divine Weapon Pavilion. However, there were also powerful inheritances that were especially compatible with my Zhou family's bloodline. With these, my Zhou family will soon catch up with the top factions. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "You're welcome. There's no distinction between our 2 families." The Wang family's gains were also very great. The Valley of Beasts had produced 5 powerful figures and more than 10 Mahayana cultivators. After obtaining all the inheritances of the Valley of Beasts, they didn't have to look for cultivation techniques anymore. Even the inheritances of the Qixing Si Shuxin community were only so-so. Only the Heavenly Mystery Tower could surpass the inheritances of the Valley of Beasts. However, the inheritances of the Heavenly Mystery Tower were not unique to the Archaic Mysteries sect, but to the Beiyuan Shuxian human race. With the Wang family's small body, it would probably take a few thousand years to digest all the inheritances. When he returned, it was time to adjust the family's population policy. The number of cultivators was still too little by relying on the previous methods. Although there were more and more cultivators these years, the lifespan of ordinary clansmen was limited. If they couldn't break through to the Foundation establishment realm, they could only live for 100 years. In addition, although the family's important industries were not breached, there were still many cultivators killed and injured. He didn't care much about the family's affairs. He didn't know how many mortals and cultivators there were. Knowing that there might be a war of providence in the future, he couldn't be like before and always be in a free-range state. He had to increase the number of cultivators and clansmen as soon as possible to increase the strength of the Yan Kingdom. After sending Wang Mingchen back to Qingli City, he continued to drive the flying boat and sent Daoist Windwing back to the Zhou country before returning to the palace of Qingli City. After leaving for a year, Wang Shui and Wang Daochang were reporting to Wang Mingchen about what had happened in the past year. Wang Daoyuan walked in, and the 3 of them bowed. He waved his hand and said, "There's no need for that. I've obtained quite a few inheritances now." In terms of inheritance alone, our Wang clan's foundation has already surpassed the 4 top forces, and is only second to the Heaven's Mystery Tower. However, there were too few cultivators in the clan, and the system for cultivating cultivators was too weak. It might take a few thousand years to fully comprehend all of these inheritances. The heavenly/mountain range's spirit veins are constantly recovering. Anything can happen in the future. We don't have time to wait. The Yen kingdom and the family had to make some adjustments. The development of the existing territories also needed to be regulated. The other clans within the boundaries of Qingli Prefecture maintained the status quo, but they were not allowed to casually develop other spiritual mountains. If he made a contribution, he could be rewarded with territory in the South County and North County of Linhai Prefecture. Guiyan County to the north of the mountain, as well as the large piece of land to the west of Guiyan County, could all be rewarded. However, Qingli County, Linhai County and Linhai County, as well as the Serene South County that will be set up in the future in Mount Serene will all be left to our own people. That's right, how many people does the clan have now? As the Prime Minister, Wang Shui was naturally very familiar with this aspect. In the years since he returned, the demons have not dared to be rampant. The number of people in the clan has increased very quickly. The number of ordinary clansmen has already reached 1.5 million. Among them, there are over 1 million in the north of Qingli Prefecture, 200,000 in Fallen Dragon Ridge, and 100,000 each in Five Elements Secret Realm and Green Willow Secret Realm. Over at Wanchuan Market, the losses from the demon beasts were too great. Now, there are only 50 to 60,000. There are still 50 to 60,000 in Linhai Prefecture. There are over 3,500 cultivator clansmen. You know all the Golden Core cultivators. There are over 30 Zifu Realm cultivators, and over 400 Foundation Establishment cultivators. Now that the cultivation of the clan's cultivators is relatively high, their lifespans are also longer. If the seniority is based on a generation of 50 years, it would be hard to call them juniors. Starting from the Xian generation, the clan has already changed the seniority to the 100 generation. Profound Understanding and Righteous are now the Righteous generation. Starting from the Profound generation, there are over 1,000 cultivators in each generation. Now, the Righteous generation has only been in the order for 50 years, and there are already over 1,000 cultivators. In addition, about 60% of the cultivators have parents who are mortals. The role of mortals is still very important to the clan. Wang Daoyuan nodded. The number of cultivators is not small, but it is still not enough. The territory that the clan has already developed can easily support tens of millions of ordinary clansmen. The 1 million people in our clan are really not much. Under normal circumstances, the number of cultivators in a larger clan is about 1% of the total number of ordinary people. Most of the imperial clans of the various countries are at this level. The number of cultivators in our Wang clan is still far from this level. The clan has established such a large foundation, but no one is developing it. Those spirit veins are also a waste. There are always rogue cultivators who want to take these places. We have to increase the population as soon as possible. How is the Five Elements Secret Realm now? Is it a bit difficult to support 100,000 people? Wang Daocheng replied, I went to take a look before. The situation there is not bad. The recovery of spiritual qi in the heaven/mountain range has also affected that place. Now, the spiritual qi in the Five Elements Secret Realm has already reached low-grade level 4. However, the Five Elements Secret Realm is not very big. Now, supporting 100,000 people is already the limit. If there are more people, they will take up places suitable for spiritual fields. I feel that we should move more people out to develop the Five Elements Secret Realm. 50 to 60,000 people is more than enough. There is a shortage of people in other places, so there is no need to put too many people in the Five Elements Secret Realm. The Serene South Mountain has just been developed and is lacking people. We can move some people out of the Five Elements Secret Realm. This was indeed suitable. The clan was lacking people everywhere. There was no point in leaving too many people in the Five Elements Secret Realm. Let's do as third brother said. The Serene South Mountain is within the heaven/mountain range. There are many mountain ranges nearby. The cold qi in the extreme frozen icy plains is mostly blocked by the mountain range. It has little effect here. There are many plains south of the serene South Mountain. It is not a big deal to settle a few 100,000 ordinary people. Wang Mingchen said, the Five Elements secret realm is still too short. It is far from enough to build the serene South County. I think that there are too many ordinary clansmen in the north of the Qingli County. We should move some of them out. Wang Daoyuan glanced at his son and said with a smile, Mingchen's words make sense. Although the family's core area was developed earlier and is more suitable for mortals to live in, there is no need to leave too many mortals here. In the territory left by the old ancestor, other than the Jade Spring Peak and the Blue Cloud Peak, there are no spirit veins. Ordinary clansmen are more likely to give birth to children with spirit veins in places with rich spirit energy.